Yo, 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 welcome to another episode of the Culturally Controversial Podcast, Sports Talk. I'm your host, Simply Nichols 87, and this is my co-host, T. Harden. Salute to you, my brother.
What up? What up? What's going on, people? Just so you know, I'm here. You'll see me in a little while. I'm driving right now, so I'll be on camera when I get back to the house. So focusing on the
Safety,
road, but I couldn't miss being with you guys for anything in the world.
safety first, baby, safety first. And for all the new people that out there that haven't subscribed to the channel, y'all go hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 200. We have hit our 150 mark, and our giveaway, I will be putting up some instructions on Instagram how that's gonna work this time. I figured out a better system of how to work. So y'all check it out. I do have a different rule implemented. So if you don't take advantage of it, we will go again. Basically, I'm gonna give that person 24 hours to come get it. So I'm going to give that. I'm do one per episode. Tony C, what's up, man? Salute to you, brother. Hey, I need that PPP loan, baby. Need that PPP loan. Thank you for coming in, brother. But we'll get right into it, man. I want to start off with last week's. You were live at the I want to say you were there at the high school game when Nancy took on Mountain Island Charter. Can you give us some details about what you think on the first game of the season?
Oh man, got way too many penalties. A lot of self-inflicted wounds. A lot of holding penalties. We moved the ball up and down the field without much problem. We just couldn't get out of our own way. We would get down in plus territory, then get a silly penalty, and back us
Mm-hmm.
up. Might have a turnover, bad interception here and there. You're
Right.
young at the quarterback position. You're still kind of raw, so when he gets pressure, sometimes he has propensity to panic rather than just throw the ball away or take a sack. So we got to
Right.
shore up those things. On defense, our front seven was very solid, very good against the run. However,
Mm-hmm.
the at the cornerback position, that's where things got a little murky. They were able to beat us one on one a few times down the field, and once they realized they were able to throw the ball, of course they were able to run the ball a little bit more effectively because it opened up lanes because we had to respect the pass. And also, once they realized that we had a weakness at one corner, they continued to attack that side again and again, and then we were no longer just able to sell out on the run. And that, along with the penalties and turnovers, was different in the ball game. But one thing I will say that I like the competitive spirit of the guys. We got down by a pretty hefty margin, got down 34-12 in the fourth quarter. They rallied
Mm-hmm.
late back in the game to get it to 34-27 to give themselves a puncher's chance at it at the end. But unfortunately, there just wasn't enough time left. So, I mean, they have a competitive spirit, but there's a lot of work to be done. There's talent there, but there's a lot of work to be done as well.
Uh, I can see that. I figured it. When I looked at the score myself, I didn't see any of the highlights. I kind of figured I was like, well, either they was a back and forth game, or they had to rally back, but put up a good valiant effort. I think the penalties would probably be an issue starting out, but that's the first game. They can be fixed. They can always be fixed, later on down the line. And
I mean, we'll see. I mean, this Anson program penalties have been an Achilles heel for this Anson program for many, many years. So I mean, and it's been a program that has a tendency or propensity to get a lot of penalties, and to be honest with you, that just downright comes down to being undisciplined. I know the team is young. I hear that all the time, but at the end of the day, you still have to be disciplined. And it's
that's true.
early, like you said, but we have to form better habits.
Yeah. And I don't know really much about the Mountain Island Charter School. I know they are non-conference. I do know that much. Don't know if they
Yeah,
compete for any state titles like recent.
no, but the last full season that there was, they went 11-3. The last season where there was a fall season.
Okay.
Um, so I mean, I know of Coach Robert Washington because his son Robert Washington was a four-star running back who played there. He also played at USC Charlotte for a little while too. He was the highest. Robert Washington Jr. was the highest ranking recruit the USC Charlotte ever had. He played at Mountain Island Charter a few years ago. So they've had, I know for the last 4 or 5 years, at least under this current coach, they've been solid.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, we're looking forward to tomorrow as they're going against Pinecrest.
That's going to be a tall order. I can say that much.
A tall order.
Yeah, the Pinecrest Patriots just beat Roseville last week. Roseville was Carolina Prep's #1 ranked team in Class 4A going into that game. So, I mean, at the end of the day, they got 11 guys on the field. We got 11 guys on the field.
You
have to play the game. And as long as they haven't changed the way they put their pants on any given Friday, anything can happen. It's going to take a valiant effort. It's going to take a clean football game. Going to have some things bounce your way. But if they're keeping score, if the ball is snapped, anything can happen, and we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Cool bean. We'll go up a little bit, go to the highest class of football you can get to. I've been checking out a couple preseason games. I also hadn't seen the Panthers play yet. And I know you probably seen maybe something or heard.
I saw a couple of series.
Okay. So, from what you're looking at, how do you?
They haven't really played the starting quarterback Darnold that much. He only played one series the entire preseason so far. I'm not a fan of Sam Darnold. I didn't like him when he was at USC. Didn't like him with the Jets. Don't know what the hell we're doing with him. But we have him. The one drive that he was in, it was set up off of an interception where they had a short field. They went 3 and out. They had a chance to punch it in the end zone. Went for the 4th down, didn't get it. That was all we saw of him. I'm not that big on that offensive line. You're hoping that McCaffrey will play in the regular season, of course.
Yeah.
I don't. To me, the team look like they've taken a step backwards, but haven't played many of their people. But the thing is, I don't know why you're not playing Sam Darnold in the preseason. He hasn't proven enough in this league to get the preseason off. He hasn't done enough to where you can say, like, oh, we trust him. We don't have to worry about him getting a rhythm. I haven't seen anything to be optimistic about. I don't believe in Matt Rule. I think Matt Rule is a politician. I think Matt Rule is a liar. And I think he says whatever is convenient to say at that time. And we'll see if he proves me wrong.
I'm gonna get your. I know, your opinion or your thoughts. How long do you think he's gonna be head coach?
How long he'll be the head coach?
Yeah.
I don't know, because Tepper gave him a lot of years and a lot of money. I think that he'll still be the head coach through this year, no matter what happens. You know, and you got to realize he has that reputation of being this program builder, this CEO, based on what he did in college, and he has something to his advantage that people like a Lovie Smith or something wouldn't have. So he has that reputation of being a builder, so they're going to be patient with him because they know that he's just supposed to be this guy who builds programs from the ground up. So they're going to be patient with him because he's going to be afforded the patience. I don't think there's anything to him. I think he's a college coach, but they like him. He says the right things. The people in Charlotte have what they want now. They got Coach Rule. They got Sam Darnold. So the coach fits the mold of what they want, and the quarterback fits the mold of what they want. So they should be happy now.
For now.
For now, yeah.
For now, because my honest opinion, I support the home team. I mean, that's not my team per se, but I will support the home team. I honestly think they should have kept Teddy.
I do too. And see, I don't like Rule. He threw Teddy under the bus and didn't take any kind of self-accountability for any of the mistakes he made himself as a coach, but just put all the blame on Teddy last year. I didn't like that.
Exactly. And
didn't like that at all. You know what? It'll be funny if the Denver Broncos and the New England Patriots both have a good seasons with Newton and Bridgewater, and then we end up being poor. That would be the ultimate instance.
And I'm telling you something now. I will say I know it's preseason, and I'm not gonna go ahead and give early predictions, but from what I've seen so far in the last 2 preseason games, we look pretty damn good.
New England's gonna be very good in defense.
Yeah, that defense was good.
With Judon, and they traded for a corner today from Baltimore.
Yeah, we traded Sonny Michelle yesterday, I think.
Yeah, but y'all got so many running backs.
Back, yeah, we
Yeah,
got
y'all got running back. I like Sony Michelle, but Carolina should try to get a guy like Sony Michelle to have that big back to complement McCaffrey, especially
They
in the red
need
zone.
him. I would have got him. I mean, somebody to help McCaffrey because they can run that boy into the ground, honestly, man. Because like you said, the line, if they
I'm
give him the ball,
gonna tell you what is McCaffrey. I want to preface this by saying I think McCaffrey is an excellent back and he's a great player, but they also do a lot of stuff to inflate his numbers too because they give him so many carries. Like that year that he had 1,000 rushing yards and 1,000 receiving yards, they did everything they could to inflate his numbers, especially towards the end of the season when they kept throwing. He already had 1,000 yards, but when they were trying to get him 1,000 receiving yards, they threw the ball to him almost every down just so he could get those 1,000 receiving yards over the last couple of weeks of the season. So and I think what it is, they draft him with the 8th pick in the draft, and there's always been a scrutiny about that pick, so they want to justify the pick. So they go out of their way just to run him every time to get his numbers up so they could justify that pick. When they should just go with the natural flow of the game. Like when they had C.J. Anderson, they should have given C.J. Anderson red zone carries when they had him.
yeah,
McCaffrey's a great running back, but he's small. Down in the red zone, when it's 3rd and goal for the 2-yard line, you can't
need that.
pound him up the middle like that.
Nah, you need some weight. Now I get it, he tough, but you got to have somebody that's just a little bit tougher. Like you got to have somebody that's willing to take a couple with him down to the end zone.
And he's gonna put up big numbers this year if he's healthy. But will it translate into the team winning games? Because it seems like offensively when he's there, they're more focused on making sure he hits his numbers than to put the offense in position to score or to win ball games. It seems like it's more about let's get him his numbers. It's like for fantasy football, if you're into that kind of thing,
Yeah,
he's your guy because the numbers going to be there.
boy.
But are those numbers going to be conducive towards winning football games?
That's
or are they just going to be numbers for the sake of having numbers?
Yeah, that's the key. Winning games. I mean, you can have 200 yards and lose. It still don't mean nothing, you know.
I've seen the quarterback throw 4,000 yards and the team only win 4 games.
That sounds like Matt Stafford.
Yeah, well, I was going to deal with his former team, the Houston Texans. I'm not going to with their starting quarterback who has a myriad of other things that he's having to deal with right now. But when he played last year, threw for 33 touchdowns, over 4,000 yards. They still went 4-12 or 5-11.
Yeah, that's true.
Because of what's happened, a lot of those times they were behind and they were playing from behind in shootouts and losing a lot of shootouts. And so that's why when people say that look at the numbers don't always tell the story.
Yeah.
And that's a prime example of a guy putting up big numbers. And I like Deshaun Watson. I'm talking about the player. I ain't getting into that stuff. But as far as a football talent, he's a very good player. But I'm talking about last year. That's a prime example of how numbers can be misleading because he put up big numbers, but it wasn't effective and it wasn't conductive to winning football games. And I'm not saying it was his fault that they didn't win football games. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that a lot of those numbers were empty calories.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like in basketball, DeMarcus Cousins, he always put up big numbers, but they were empty calories. They weren't conducted towards winning basketball games. It's the same. Kirk Cousins with the Minnesota Vikings, former Washington football team quarterback, same thing. He puts up all these big numbers every year, but his team doesn't win football games.
That's true.
So it's like, are you putting up numbers? Are you putting up meaningful numbers, or are you putting up empty calories?
But basically, empty calories.
Exactly. So that's my point. So you can't always. And so when it comes to Christian McCaffrey, I'm not taking anything away from him. The kid is talented. The kid is a great football talent. He's an excellent player, and I think he wants to win. But sometimes organizationally, they're so hell bent on trying to make sure that he looks good and to make sure that his numbers look good to justify paying him and picking him, to where sometimes it seems like the focus is more on getting his numbers where you want them to be versus making the necessary football plays to try to put yourself in position to win ball games.
And you see what happened the last time they did that with a key franchise player.
Who?
Cam.
Yeah, with with Newton's situation, that was more of they won. Newton still won more games than he lost in Carolina. That was
I get the winner, but I'm saying as far as like putting all the load and
they put all the weight on him and expect him to do everything. Greg Olsen was the only target he had. I get what you're saying. Didn't have a good offensive line. His last 7 years in Carolina, he had a different starting left tackle in each of his last 7 years there. And and ultimately he didn't get hurt from running the ball. His injury with the shoulder came in the pocket when T.J. Watt came in and lit off the edge and beat the tackle and hit him helmet first in the shoulder. That's where he got injured from. When people talk about the hits, too, most of the hits that Newton took came in the pocket, not when he was running.
That's true. I get that, but
you might argue, somebody might say that sometimes he held onto the ball too long, but you got to understand it's not like he had anybody get open downfield either some of those times.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he was really becoming that passer. I know he could run if he had to. Like that's his thing. He don't run, but I think he was trying to get the guy. Okay, I trust you. I need you to get open. I'm gonna get you the ball, but
and the thing about
it open is
I think New England's going to be the best rushing, going to lead the league in rushing this year. I think New England is going to be like that San Francisco 49ers team was with Colin Kaepernick. I'm talking about when they went to the Super Bowl that year. I think it's going to be that style.
Yeah, I've been more focused on that defense. That I seen the offense, and now I will say this: Mac Jones, even though he did a lot of check down passing, I mean that's rookie.
Mac Jones is not going to be the starting quarterback.
No, he's not start. No.
I'm about to say you could tell by the way they're doing the reps because Mac's been getting so many reps. That means that he's probably not going to be starting because they're probably getting Newton ready for week one. But and plus the offense is built around Newton because of course in the preseason they're not going to run him, but they're going to probably run some more design runs. It's going to be like that when Greg Roman had the 49ers when Colin Kaepernick and when Frank Gore and all them when they went to the Super Bowl year, and then the year after, their offense is probably going to look similar to that style of a bunch of that three-headed monster in the backfield, set up play action, hit guys like Aguilar and the tight end down the field on the kind of in the same vein. Hit Olsen. It's going to be similar to like what he did in Carolina.
He gonna look good though. Like I said, he got a full. I mean, the pandemic year they didn't have a training camp. I mean, he still got to play. They did good, in my opinion. I mean, we didn't make playoffs. 79 was better than expected. So.
Yeah, you got it right. Yeah, and you didn't have a defense at all. You had 8 starters opt out, 6 of them on defense. 2 starters on back. 6 starters on defense opt out last year, and you had nobody downfield that could make play. N'Keal Harry was your number 1 receiver, and and everybody just said, "Oh, look at Newton." I'm like, don't get me wrong, he wasn't great last year, but the whole team was bad. I mean, it was
bad. I mean, I can sit here and tell you that we weren't good. We were better than I expected. We weren't good though. Like I expected with all the off season, I was like, well, we might go 6-10. Okay, 79 I can live, but this year I feel like everything's flowing.
I think they win the AFC East.
I think they will too. Between them and Buffalo.
I think they'll and I know Buffalo beat them twice last year. One of them games, the one in Buffalo, Newton got the ball. He got the ball stripped from him and fumbled it. Going into the end zone, man. That would have won the game. And he took off a run and got stripped the ball out of him. You remember that? Huh?
Yeah, I remember it. Yo, what up, Wendell? What you mean, man? I know I talk to Wendell in the chat. What you mean? Whoa, what's wrong? You must be a Buffalo or Jets fan. You got to be one of them. If you're a Jets fan, you finna get all kinds of hate.
The Jets are just bad.
Who y'all quarterback? That
guy from BYU.
Oh hell.
Zach Wilson, I think his name.
Listen, man. If y'all win 2 games this year, I'll be surprised.
Who's the coach there now? They change coaches all the time.
Yeah, they get a new coach every year. I don't even know who they coach
Adam Gase got fired, right?
Who?
Adam Gase. He got fired, right?
Yeah, he got fired.
They had Todd Bowles, then they had Adam Gase.
See, I thought he was a Jet.
I don't understand how Adam Gase can get jobs, man.
I don't understand. You're right. How the hell did he get jobs?
Because he didn't do nothing with the Dolphins. Then as soon as he got fired from the Dolphins, he got hired by the Jets. I'm like, why? And he bear the name of being this QB guru because of the success he had in Denver. I'm like, they had Peyton Manning in Denver. That had nothing to do with Gase. When Peyton Manning's your quarterback, he runs the offense himself.
You got y'all winning 9 games this year.
Oh, the Jets. What
Let me see
9
y'all
games?
schedule.
9 and 8 or something like that. What is that?
That,
17 games. Right?
yeah, 17 games. I want to see who y'all play.
He got the
Really.
Jets on the 9 games.
Yeah, that's a Jets fan. He got winning 9. I understand.
What this on Madden on franchise mode?
Yeah, probably on franchise.
The Jets are bad.
Listen, man, y'all get good players every year.
They're bad, man. Like they're like the new Browns.
When y'all had Geno Smith, y'all didn't have a chance then. Y'all had what's my man's name? What number?
Mark Sanchez.
Mark Sanchez. Got to the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, but that wasn't because of Sanchez. That was the defense in the running game. They had Sean Green and LaDainian Tomlinson running the ball. They had and they had an excellent defense. All Mark Sanchez was doing him the ball off, man. You know that.
Well, everybody was like,
Don't give Mark Sanchez that guy.
Mark Sanchez is the future. He did beat New England and the Jets. That defense was good though. I give him that. That damn defense was good that year.
Very good defense. They got the back-to-back AFC Championship games.
Yeah, and lost both.
They got
of them.
their 09. Oh, wait, I know they got their 09 and 2010, right?
Yeah, I think it was the Colts, and then the next year it was
I forgot who they lost to. I forgot who they lost to that second year.
Hey, look, at least you.
Yeah, they did lose to the Colts 09. They lost to the Steelers in 2010.
Okay. Hey, look.
Because the Steelers lost to Green Bay that year in the Super Bowl.
Wendell said, "Don't trust a USC quarterback."
I don't trust USC quarterbacks either.
Nope. Ain't not one USC quarterback came out and did anything.
Carson Palmer was decent.
He was till he started getting hurt.
Yeah, but I'm not saying he was a Hall of Famer, but he was decent.
Matt Leinart didn't do shit.
Yeah, he works on like Fox now as an analyst. He and Reggie Bush both work on Fox, I think, as at Fox Sports as analysts, college football analysts.
It was Matt Leinart. What was the other guy? There's another one after Matt Leinart.
John David Booty came after Matt Leinart.
I ain't hear nothing from him.
But yeah, he wasn't. He was like a 4th round draft pick. He wasn't expected to be much.
Or 5th round draft pick. Who's at the Booty? Clausen? No, not Clausen.
No, John David Booty was followed by Mark Sanchez because Sanchez and John David Booty competed, and then after Sanchez left after that 1 year, then John David Booty. Excuse me. After Sanchez, it was some little pretty boy.
I can't think.
If you wouldn't ask me, I would know. The hell was USC after somebody in the chat, man, help me out. Who succeeded Mark Sanchez at USC? Or was it Matt Barkley?
That might have been who it was.
Matt Barkley became the quarterback there like in 09. That's exactly who it was.
Didn't Carolina draft him?
Nah, Philadelphia.
Philadelphia drafted him. Okay.
Yeah, Matt Barkley, because he was like this freshman sensation. After he led them back in that win against Ohio State, everybody hyped him up. And then after they got the hell whooped out of them, then the week after they won, they lost to Oregon State. And then later on in the season, Oregon beat the hell out of them later on when they had Jeremiah Masoli and LaMichael James and
Dennis Dixon. No, Dennis Dixon was gone. It was who was the other quarterback? Darren Thomas. He was at the
Darren Thomas. Yeah, he played at Oregon when they lost in the championship game to Cam Newton in Auburn.
Yo, salute Chill Time. What's up, brother? I put it like this: the best USC ain't never put out. I say Carson Palmer was about the decent one they had. Alabama never puts out a good quarterback in the NFL.
I'll tell you something. USC put out some good running backs though.
Yeah, they really they do.
Man, I'm about to say
some receivers too.
One of them. They put out a killer back, man. See what I did there?
Yeah, killer back.
we won't go any further.
Nah, they do put out good running backs. I give them that. Alabama puts out good running backs.
Yeah, but them Alabama quarterback, that's why everybody gonna know about Mac Jones. And I'll tell you this. Mac Jones has never been in a situation where he had game pressure on him. Every situation he was in, you always up 30-0 at halftime or whatever. He's never been in a situation where you're down late in the ball game or in a situation, a nip and tuck ball game where you got to make plays because the game. he's never been in a situation where his decisions were consequential. And what I mean
Right.
by that is like he's always been in a situation where there was no game pressure, where they always had, and to his credit, he made plays. But all they had to do was throw it up to Devontae Smith. And most of those games, they were up and comfortable leads. They were in control of the game. He was never in a situation where a bad play would be consequential to his team. The NFL, you got to play.
Tilltown said USC running backs with a Super Bowl win beside Marcus Allen, Reggie Bush.
Yeah, with a running back, you can't put a Super Bowl on a running back because that's a whole team thing. I'd rather put a Super Bowl on a quarterback than a running back because a running back could be great and a team still go 2-14. He's only one person. He's only responsible for one thing, and that's carrying the ball.
Well, Marcus Allen was the whole offense of that LA Raiders team that year. They won
and I think Marcus Allen does have Super Bowl too.
Yeah,
because the LA Raiders, they beat the Philadelphia Eagles when he was
and
there.
Washington. They beat Washington.
Yeah, but they beat the Eagles too when Jim Plunkett was the quarterback.
Yeah, you're right.
But by the way, Jim Plunkett is the only Latino quarterback to ever lead his team to Super Bowl. He won 2 Super Bowls. The first only Latino quarterback to lead his team to Super Bowl starting quarterback. Jim Plunkett was drafted #1 overall by New England Patriots. Was considered a bust and a failure, and then he kind of reformed his career with the Raiders and ended up becoming a 2-time Super Bowl winning starting quarterback. Great way to turn your career around after being labeled a bust.
Wendell said it starts with the offensive line. I agree.
I agree. But
definitely agree.
It starts with offensive line, but ultimately when that's with any offense. But when it comes to a running back, it's hard to say. I don't think it's fair to hold running backs accountable for Super Bowls because the thing is, even if you have a great offensive line and he's running the ball exceptionally well, there's still going to be times when things are off schedule where quarterbacks expected to make plays, and that's beyond the running back's control.
Yeah, that's true. In your opinion, I'm gonna ask you this question: who do you think had the best? In your opinion, it can be modern era, old era, whatever. Who do you think actually had the best offensive line in football?
Who I think has the best offensive line in football today?
Nah, this in any period of time, like in your opinion, who had probably like one of the best offensive lines to
those Dallas Cowboy teams in the early mid '90s had great offensive lines.
Y'all was ready to say that.
Had great offensive lines. I mean, Hall of Famers on it. Basically, any of those teams had great offenses. Those New England offensive lines in the mid 2000s, when y'all had Matt Light and all those guys, you didn't have big name players, but as a unit, they were great. Like when they had Matt Light at the left tackle, then later on they had guys like Logan Rankins, whatever. But they had Brady was hardly untouched.
Yeah, he really was.
They just weren't big name people. But those New England teams had some excellent offensive line. Brady wasn't under duress that much. The only reason the teams that had the most success against them were the Giants, and the reason they had success is because they were able to get a pass rush without blitzing. You can't blitz Tom Brady. You have to be able to get to him with 4. If you can get to him with 4, you can get him. And then and typically teams weren't able to get to him with 4, and it's because of their offensise line. But I mean,
Chilltown says without running backs, there's no play action either.
That's true. But at the end of the day, even with the play action there, the quarterback still has to hit the throw.
Yeah.
The thing, and that part is beyond the running back's control. My point is, there are too many variables beyond the running back's control to hold a running back accountable for a Super Bowl. No, I agree. You want to be able to run the ball effectively. Yes, it makes everything much easier when it keeps things on schedule when you can run the ball effectively. So yes, a running back can be the reason that you win. It's just hard for me to say a running back is the reason that you lost.
I agree.
So to say that this, that'd be like saying Kevin Falk is better than Barry Sanders.
Hell no.
Exactly, but Kevin Falk was a 3-time Super Bowl champion.
Yeah,
he was like a starter on like 2 of them.
Yeah, but he wasn't the factor of them winning.
Exactly, that's my point.
He wasn't the factor of them winning. Wendell said Steelers keep the OL and DL loaded overall.
Steelers off of Roethlisberger get hit a lot, man.
Yeah.
Actually, that year when they lost to Green Bay in the Super Bowl in 2010, that was one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen get to a Super Bowl. that was basically that year. That was basically Roethlisberger missed 4 games due to suspension because of some transgressions where he was investigated. and but that offensive line was not that great at all. But he just made plays. That defense was good too. Yeah, James Harrison and those guys. But no, but for the most part, they historically they've had good lines.
Dillinger, what's up, baby? What's going on? Chilltown says Kevin Falk had Tom Brady and Barry Sanders had Scott Mitchell.
That's my point.
Hey, yeah, I mean that's true.
Yeah, Roddy Pete for a little while too, but that's my point.
Yeah. And Wendell says who's favorite to win it all and which teams are y'all ripping? I told you I am New England. New England till I die.
I mean, I'm a Carolina fan, but I don't really care.
But honestly, in my opinion, I'm pretty sure that the team that won it last year is probably gonna win it this year.
I don't think Tampa's going to repeat. Tampa didn't have any business winning it last year. It's just they got hot at the right time.
Yeah.
But they didn't even win their division last year. That was more of a teams kind of pumped down and yielded to Brady. You got really Green Bay just choked that game at home. I mean, it's part of the game. They still won it, but that was a game where I thought Green Bay choked. And
Well,
that
Green
game
Bay
against
took three. They didn't took 3 NFC championships in a row, ain't it?
yeah, Aaron Rodgers chokes a lot, but nobody criticized him for it. He choked against Russell Wilson in Seattle one time. They had a 16-0 lead and couldn't put enough points on the board.
Yeah, was 16 or 19? 16 somewhere. Yeah, you right. It was
16-0, then 19-7.
Yeah.
The thing because they lost the game 23 to 27 to something out of or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, they lost by like less than a touchdown. Or they lost. I think Seattle kicked the field goal in overtime. Then Green Bay came back and scored. Green Bay kicked the field goal in overtime, and then Seattle came back and scored a touchdown. So it was like they were down
that was the year Seattle was defending, right? Yeah, that was the year they defended the.
Yeah, and then lost New England. But back to the Tampa Bay versus Kansas City thing. I'm not here to make excuses, but this is still factual. Kansas City was without their two Pro Bowl tackles, Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher. Both missed the Super Bowl, and it was obvious because Brady played well, but that pass rush was the reason they won the game. They could not block up front. They were without their 2 starting tackles, and it showed.
So Washington had good O-line for the record.
He didn't have time to throw. The same thing that happened to Mahomes is what happened to Newton against Denver. It was the same thing.
You're right. They didn't blitz.
They couldn't block up front.
Nope.
And that's what it came down to.
And
I don't think the Buccaneers win the Super Bowl again. The Buccaneers also playing that game in their home stadium, which had never happened before. I don't think they're going to win it again, but everybody's gunning for them, so it's not like they can't surprise anybody now.
No, they can't surprise you. They got to play. I mean, you still got to play.
I still think the Saints win the South again, even with Winston. Saints have very good defense and a very good running attack.
Yeah.
And Winston under Sean Payton, I think he'll be more under control. All he has to do is just manage the game.
Chilltown said, "Why couldn't Casey stop Brady on D though? Because they ain't got no defense. they don't have.
Kansas City's defense is the middle of the road. It's not a great defense, but by their having a potent offense, their offense helped. Their offense always had them where they were playing from ahead, so they were able to get takeaways and able to get after the quarterback because they were playing from ahead. In this situation there, when the offense couldn't get rolling, they were on the field a lot, and their defense got worn out.
Yeah. That like you said, they're in the middle of the pack, but the offense was majority of the reason Kansas City was there.
Right, but their defense wasn't horrible. It was a middle of the road defense, but the offense made them better because by their offense having them ahead so much, they were able to tee off on people because they were playing from ahead. Whereas in the Super Bowl, by their offense not being able to get going, now it's mano a mano, and they're having to stop people, and then they're in a situation where they're on the field a lot, and that was the difference. No, but their defense isn't steel curtain. No, it's just It's just a maybe slightly above average defense, opportunistic defense. And when you're playing from ahead, lots of times it dictates what the other team has to do on offense, and it allows you to get takeaways because the other team is having to throw the ball downfield. And you're making teams do things they're not comfortable doing. And so that way your defensive numbers are going to look good because your defense is playing from an advantage.
Right. Chill Town says, I think the NFC champion is coming out of the NFC West.
That might be true.
That's possible.
What, the Seahawks?
I don't know about the Seahawks.
Or the LA Rams?
I don't know. Well,
I do not believe in Matt Stafford.
I don't know about them. If San Francisco play decent, they got a chance.
But let's go back to the LA Rams. Matt Stafford is a fantasy football quarterback. He's like Kirk Cousins. He's gonna put up some great numbers for your fantasy team, but you end up going 8-8. Well, I know they're playing 17 games, but you get my point.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Stafford been to the playoffs 2 times his entire career.
2, and I don't think he won. Did he win 1?
I think they. I don't know. Did Detroit ever win a playoff game with Stafford? I don't think they did.
If they did, it was back 20. I want to say like 2010.
I think they won 1. I think didn't they win 1?
They might have won 1.
They might have won 1. I have to look it up.
Because I remember them going on a wild card game about 2010.
Yeah, one of the years they lost to the Saints in the wild card game 1 year.
That might have been that year because they lost by a field goal. 1 year they lost by a field goal, and then the next year
there was 1 year they played the Seahawks. I thought because 1 year that was the year that Stafford threw 5,000 yards, and then they lost to the Seahawks. I think that was in a wild card game too, was it not?
Anybody in the chat know how many playoff games the Detroit Lions won with Stafford?
Here's the thing: the fact that we're having to guess how many, trying to figure out when the last time they made playoffs and if they won or not, that speaks for itself. The fact that we don't know right off the top of our head and we're having to guess, that lets you know that he's not a winner.
Fair enough.
This dude's been in the league 12 years, but you don't ever hear him get ripped for not being a winner.
No.
I believe no, he's never won a playoff game. Lamar Jackson has won more playoff games than Matt Stafford. But Lamar Jackson got ripped going into his 3rd season, the 2nd year as a starter because he hadn't won a playoff game. This man Stafford was the first pick in the draft, been in the league 12 years, still never won a playoff game. Nobody criticizes him for it. I wonder why.
We got our answer. None.
Exactly. And then the same people before Baltimore beat Tennessee last year. Last year was Lamar Jackson's 2nd season as a starter, second full season as a starter, 3rd year in the league. And everyone's criticizing, well, he hadn't won the playoff game. He never won a playoff game. I said, Matt Stafford was the first pick in the draft, had been in the league 12 years, and has never won a playoff game. Lamar Jackson led his team to the playoffs been in the playoffs 3 times, and had only been in the league 3 years. Matt Stafford been in the league 12 years, only been to the playoffs twice, and never won a playoff game, and was the first pick in the draft, and still labeled as an elite top tier quarterback. But yet people criticize Lamar Jackson because of his non-traditional style. I wonder why.
Why, Dylan? Why? Tell us why.
and the thing about it, Nick, it's not an opinion. It's a fact. 12 years, 0 playoff wins.
I agree with you. I'm not saying Matt Stafford is a.
My point is, people. He still gets praised as one of the better quarterbacks, and yet people try to criticize Lamar Jackson like you can't win with him. I'm like, what has Matt Stafford done? If you look at Lamar Jackson, already accomplished more than Matt Stafford has in the 3 years than Matt Stafford has in the 12. These are facts.
You right. I agree. Chilltown said Detroit Lions franchise is cursed after what they did to Barry Sanders.
Yeah, they weren't great when they had him. Let's not act like they went to back-to-back Super Bowls or something before he retired. Let's not get carried away.
Did they get to the playoffs?
Here and there, sometimes.
Okay.
Like 9-7 playoffs, not like 13-3 playoffs.
Gotcha.
Like 9-7 wild card, losing the wild card round. Not like 13-3 first round bye NFC Championship game.
Agreed.
And it's not like it was every year either. It was a lot of 7 and 9s. So.
Honestly, I couldn't tell you who's coming out. I couldn't tell you who's coming out of either division this year. It's kind of hard to say.
Well, nobody knows until the games get played. You don't know how injuries going to come to play. You don't know how people get suspended, not have people sitting out for health protocols coming into play. You don't know how none of that's going to come into play.
Yeah.
You don't know
Especially
who.
with a 17-game season.
You don't know who gonna beat up their girlfriend and get a 6-game suspension. You don't know, and I'm not being funny, but you don't know how any of that's gonna play out.
Don't forget, them clowns drafted 3 wide receivers 3 years straight in the first round of the draft.
Yeah, now the Calvin Johnson was good. They drafted Charles Rogers.
Yep.
He dead, ain't he?
Is he?
I think Charles Rogers died.
Anybody know Charles Rogers?
He was a weed head, but Charles Rogers did. Somebody look it up. I think Charles Rogers died a couple years ago. Out of Michigan State. Wide receiver.
Black quarterbacks had to get results ASAP and held to impossible standards.
That is true.
Yeah.
He said it, not me, but it's true. But they drafted Charles Rogers, Roy Williams, and Mike Williams.
Yeah, Mike. I forgot Mike Williams was there.
Yeah,
Roy Williams came from the U
Texas. USC. They drafted him 3 straight years. Or was it Charles Rogers, Mike Williams, and then Roy Williams? It was something like that.
I know Roy Williams came from Texas. I do know that was.
Yeah. It's funny. That Roy Williams played at Texas, and the other Roy Williams played at Oklahoma.
Yep. The safety. Yeah.
But the receiver, Roy E. Williams, then they both played for the Cowboys together for a year or two.
Yep. Sure did.
And both of them were ball headed. But Roy Williams and then in 2007 they turned around and drafted Calvin Johnson, but they couldn't pass up on Calvin Johnson. It was one of those things like, yeah, we know we effed up and drafted all these receivers, but we can't leave Calvin Johnson on the table.
No. They said the numbers speak for themselves, even though he didn't win nothing.
Yeah, he was on. That wasn't his fault. He was only there 9 years. Speaking of Matt Stafford, Matt Stafford been in the league 12 years. 7 of those years he had arguably the best receiver in all of football. So I don't want to hear that he didn't have no weapons.
Oh, he had the weapons. Oh, yeah, I ain't saying he did. I'm just saying.
No, I'm just saying people try to argue that he
had the weapon, the weapon.
And then he had a 1,000-yard running back with Kevin Smith that played at UCF. And then after he left, the guy that had all the concussions that had to retire, job at best or whatever they had him. So, so they had Nate Burleson. So, but he had Calvin the first 7 years of his career. He had Calvin Johnson, Hall of Fame receiver.
Yep. Chilltown said Charles Rogers died in 2019.
I told you he died.
I didn't know. I had no idea.
You know me, man. Nothing slipped past me.
No, nothing slipped past me. Of course. I'm so happy. Only thing I care about is as long as Dallas Cowboys don't get to the Super Bowl. That's all I care about.
You ain't got to worry about that, Nick. No, I'm not being funny. I'm not trying to hate on nobody. Be funny, but I would be highly surprised if that happened. If that happened, that'd be more of just like that would be just as amazing, almost like the Immaculate Conception, where an angel comes down and tells a virgin woman she's pregnant and she's having God's son. I mean, it's not quite to that level, but that would be amazing to where it just be like, number one, Mike McCarthy's not a coach. Number two, their defense was atrocious.
Yeah, they got the same defense, don't it?
Yeah, Nick, I'm gonna tell you what. Don't end the show. Interact with the fans. Yeah, Java. I'm gonna log out of this, go in the house, put my headphones on, and come back. So just kind of interact with the fans a little bit until I get back. This only be like 3 minutes.
I got you. You still got the link.
Yeah, I'll come back in. I'm coming back.
All right. But yeah, but who y'all got winning the Super Bowl, man? That's what I want to know. Y'all tell me who y'all think will win the Super Bowl. I support the Panthers. I rock with Cam. Of course, I'm gonna rock with New England all day. I rock with Cam too. I like Cam. Cam is like one of my favorite quarterbacks. Even though when he played with Carolina, I liked the Cam. Like when they drafted him, I was like, well, Carolina is gonna have a chance to win something. And the first year he got did he win Rookie of the Year that year? He said, "You killing me, big dog." Well, I'm killing you, man. What's wrong? Jesus. Listen, man. After a while, Buffalo's my favorite to come out of the AFC. Josh Allen. That's all I can say, Chilltown. Josh Allen. He got the weapons. It's just, Josh Allen I don't see him winning out of first round. I mean, he did win a first round game. Well, no, he didn't because they went to bye week that year. I don't see Josh Allen making the. I don't see Josh Allen making that move right yet. It's too early. Now the weapons he got with Stephon Diggs, of course. Now they'll win. They're gonna win double digit games. Let's not get that twisted. But they may not win the division. They're not winning that division this year. I am guaranteed New England will win double digits. We will have double digit wins this year, and we will not lose no more than 4 games this year. Mark my words. Thank you, Dills. They win that division. New England ain't gonna lose no more than 4 games this year. If you seen that defense is good with Judon and what's my man name in the middle? I can't call his name. Yeah, the Bills are good now. I will say that they in a pushover. Every year we play them, they're not a pushover. Like they were coming anyway. Now Miami, they sit on that borderline. I bet dinner New England doesn't win that division. All right, bet dinner. I got you. We'll bet a what kind of dinner first? We got what kind of dinner? We got to see what kind of dinner you talking about. New England will win that division. Cause I think that the defense is gonna be sick. Ain't a lot of teams gonna score on them like y'all think they is. That front 7 or 8. Nah, we got Hightower back there calling the shots. You got Judon up front. Judon was a good defensive end too. I think Judon can actually play defensive end and tackle, in my opinion. But that defense is stacked. And Cam Newton is healthy. And he knows and Cam knows the offense now. What's the Patriots schedule looking like? Let me see if I can pull it up for you right quick. I did have it pulled up on my computer. Hold on, let's see what we got. And we might get it to come up. Okay, T's back. Add the screen. All right. He's back. The Patriots schedule. I'm trying to see what that looks like. I'm trying to get my computer to come up.
They open up against Miami, I think.
Chilltown leads Roof Chris. Pay attention. Oh man, I don't know if we can bet them. I ain't be able to feature Roof Chris now. I might be able to take you to we might go to Chili's. I might be able to use some Chili's.
Take him to Steak 48.
Hey, look, yeah, I'm a middle class man.
Middle class.
I'm a middle class man. I got to man. I get my computer to come up. I can tell you exactly who we got because I had it pulled up the other day. We got a decent schedule though. I ain't gonna sit here and cat with you.
You know what? I hate when people say that because there's in the NFL there's no such thing as an easy or difficult schedule. You can lose to anybody at any given point. And I always say this: the strength of schedule is based on last year's records. We don't. Everybody's 0-0.
Right. I'm gonna put it in the chat, chill time, right now. Let's see if it come up.
Feels good to be where you guys can see me.
All right, chill time. There it is, right there, baby. you come on up here. You can speak your piece.
I just speak my piece, keep my peace, get you with the Jesus
piece.
Brother.
Speak your piece. And the link is up in the chat for those who want to come in and come and talk.
Come and talk to us. We really want to meet you guys. We really want to know your name.
There you.
What's good? What's good?
What's up, my brother?
What's up? Who this?
This Chilltown, man. What's going on, bro?
What's good? Hey, man, I'm just glad to be here. Chilltown, you have a big show too, don't you?
Tomorrow night, yeah. Team South versus Team Midwest tomorrow.
Oh, we in the building. We in the building. Team South.
A lot of spicy talk going on out there. So we're gonna see what to do tomorrow.
Hey, Chilltown, you from Brooklyn?
From Jersey.
Jersey, okay.
Yeah, man.
I can hear it. I can hear it a little bit. I was like, I'm just wrong side of the Hudson. My bad.
Okay. Were you from the Bronx?
Nah, dude, I'm from Waysburg, North Carolina. I'm a country boy.
Oh, okay.
We the country boys. We from the NC.
Now I got a lot of cousins up in New York. I got like cousins up around like Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, and all that area though.
Yeah, a lot of Jersey folks move down to North Carolina, Virginia after they get tired of getting living that expensive life up there, so they move down southwest a little bit.
Yeah, my next door neighbor from Jersey City, so
that's where I'm from.
Oh, for real? Okay.
Oh yeah. So I looked at the Patriots schedule, bro.
All right.
It's not a pushover schedule, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, but we're gonna make it happen though.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Y'all gonna beat the Bucks?
Yeah.
You gonna beat the Saints?
That's maybe.
What about the Chargers? Can you beat them?
Hell yeah, we killed them last year.
Can y'all beat the Titans?
Yeah, we can beat them.
Really? These Titans this year?
Yeah, we can beat them.
With their defense, if you can keep Derrick Henry just neutralized, Tannehill's not going to put it on his shoulders and beat you. I know he got Julio Jones, but Julio Jones probably have a pulled hamstring by then. So
which Julio Jones you gonna get? That's the question.
Yeah, if you're putting it in the hands of Ryan Tannehill to beat you, then no. With the Titans, they live and die with Derrick Henry. And even going back,
y'all got the Browns too.
They have
we can beat Browns.
Yeah, I believe the Browns are not a threat offensively, but the Browns have guys who can rush the passer. So it's one of those things. Can you block up and protect? If your offensive line can block up and protect,
who is the running back? Who is the running back for the Patriots?
They got a lot of them.
We got James White. We might be getting that Stevenson dude that actually showed out in preseason. He's pretty good. We just got rid of Sonny Michel.
Okay.
So
I think the first 2 weeks is a couple of extra preseason games for y'all because y'all got the Dolphins and the Jets.
Yeah,
the Jets are they should beat the Dolphins, but the Dolphins still got guys on defense who can make plays.
Now wait, are we home playing the Dolphins or are we in Miami?
Yeah, in Miami. No, you're home. Sorry, no, y'all at home.
Okay, we will win that. Every time we go to Miami, though, we'll lose.
Yeah, Miami 50.
Even when Brady was there, like for whatever reason, man, Miami would get fluky and had that fluky win against y'all.
They will win every time we go to Miami. At the end of the year, we will always lose.
And even the Jets would give you a run for the money, even though y'all beat them. Those games be tight. I remember one time when Brady was there, it was like 27-25, and the Jets only won like 3 games that year, and the game was that close.
Oh yeah,
it had
the division games, man.
Y'all got the Cowboys week 6.
We'll beat them.
The hard knock Cowboys.
Man, listen, that's all they got going on this year. Hard knocks.
Listen, no team that's been on hard knocks has ever won anything.
No, that's true. That's true.
The Bengals. Who else was
Falcons?
Falcons.
Yeah, but you weren't looking for them to win nothing either, though, man.
The
Rams. The Rams had expectations. The Falcons had expectations too, but some of those, like the Bengals, they didn't even have expectations, man.
It was more for Chad.
That's a curse. That's like the Madden cover right there. If you get hard knocks, you're not going nowhere.
I don't know. Brady succeeded the Madden cover curse now. That's probably the only player I know that actually got past it.
Who?
Brady.
He was on Madden?
Yeah, he was on 18.
Oh.
And that next year they won it.
Wait, 2018?
Yeah, Brady was on the cover.
And they won the Super Bowl that year.
Huh?
2018, the Patriots won the Super Bowl?
Yeah, that's when they beat the Rams that year.
Sure did. It was 2018 season, yeah.
That was a forgettable Super Bowl.
It was score like 13-3 with a score, right?
Yeah, it was sloppy, but it's a win. I'll take it anyway we can get it. I'll take it anyway. Who else we got?
Let's see. You got the Texans. Y'all gonna whip them. Yeah. You got the Panthers. Y'all got the Browns. Falcons. Y'all beat them.
Yeah,
y'all got y'all division twice. Y'all got the Colts.
They beat them.
Jags.
And y'all played it, and the AFC East plays the NFC South this year. So all the AFC East teams will play the NFC South teams.
Oh yeah.
I love that Carolina game gonna be in Carolina too. Yep.
That Newton's return.
That's
I definitely
November
try to make
7th.
that one if I get some tickets.
We'll see.
Yeah,
So I gotta find out what your favorite place to eat is, man.
Man, let's see. I don't even know, man. Honestly, I eat anywhere. Bojangles.
Hey, take him to Ladybug Family Restaurant.
Yeah, Ladybug Family Restaurant. Get you to what they call meeting too. Get you buffet. Not all you can eat, but good home cooked southern meal.
Man, they had some good fried chicken over there, boy.
I'm
Get you
looking,
that southern stuff, man.
I'm looking at the Bills schedule right now.
Who Buffalo play?
I'm looking at the schedule right
See,
now.
I wonder, can Josh Allen put together back-to-back seasons?
I think he can, man. I think he got some good chemistry.
Him and
their defense is
Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
I just wonder with McDermott, because I know when McDermott was defense coordinator at Carolina, he never put together back-to-back good defenses. He would have a good defense one year and sloppy the next year, good the next year.
Terry, what's up, lady?
And they got the Steelers, they got the Dolphins, Washington, the Chiefs.
Don't sleep on Washington.
It's a rematch of the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs.
Yep, Titans.
Don't sleep on them. Well, I mean, we'll
yeah, they pretty much got the same schedule. They pretty much got the same schedule.
Well, everybody in division, most teams in the same division have all but like 2 games of the same schedule.
Yeah, because they play the same teams as the Pats do. Except they play Washington week 3. They got that one NFC.
Yeah, that's that extra 17th game, and those games I think they go by like same place finishers. Since Washington was a division winner of the NFC East, they got the first place team in the NFC East. So
they got the Bills Thanksgiving night too. I mean, the Saints got the Bills got the Saints Thanksgiving night.
Yeah, the way they do
pretty good one.
The way they do division, they do place finisher. So that means like who was second in the NFC East?
I think it was Philadelphia.
Who had the other bye?
No, I was talking about the NFC East, like because Washington won it with a losing record, but I was trying to figure out who was second.
I think it was Giants. Philadelphia. Oh,
Giants.
Yeah,
because they played the last game of the season to go to the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
The reason I asked is because the way they do the schedule, they go by place on those extra games. They go by place finisher. So, like, what did New England finish third or second in the AFC East last year?
We finished third.
I think so. That means third behind Dolphins, right?
Yep.
Right. So that means New England plays the third place. They should be playing the third place NFC East team, right?
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, that would be right.
So who's
like that?
Well, who are they playing for the NFC East? Now let me know. Do they have who's their 17th extra NFC team?
The Patriots play the Cowboys and the Bills play Washington.
Okay, so the Cowboys finished third in the NFC East. So that's why they're playing the Cowboys. That's why they're playing the Cowboys. Because the third place team from the NFC East is playing the third place team from the NFC from the AFC East.
That's why the Giants is going to Miami this year.
Right. So basically this is how the schedule typically works. Of course, you play your division foes twice. Then you play a division from the other conference. So in this case, it would be the NFC South. The AFC East is scheduling the NFC South, and then in your conference, the 2 extra games are the 2 same place finishers from the other divisions of your conference, and then in this case, the same place finisher from the NFC East.
Oh, surprise team. I'm trying to think. It might be. Well, I was going to say the 49ers, but since the defense is healthy, they ain't surprising nobody.
They were played by injuries.
I think maybe the Bengals, because they get their quarterback back, right?
Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
I wonder because Zach Taylor coach though.
That's gonna be a tough division. That's gonna be a tough division because the Steelers looking good.
I don't understand how in the world Zach Taylor got a head coaching job. He wasn't even a coordinator. He was like a position coach.
Was he like a linebackers coach?
No, he's quarterback's coach. Because he played quarterback in Nebraska. Well, he played at Wake Forest first, and then he transferred from Wake Forest and played in Nebraska. I remember when he was in college. But he was 35 when he got a job. He was friends with McVay, and I hate to say it like this, but he's young and looked like McVay.
He got thrown into the fire in that job because that's a tough division to play in.
Yeah, but that was one of those. They trying to recreate the McVay thing, so they took a young offensive guy, and I'll leave the other part out of it, and made him a. Why you put that man that Derek Curry accused? That man that Dale Curry accused his wife of. And he played tight end for the Patriots. I thought they were gonna say like Gronk or something. I didn't know.
Nah, that dude played he played one. No, he played 14 games. He only caught
Man.
one kick for 5 yards.
Damn.
Well, he's scoring touchdowns now.
Yeah, he right.
He looked like he
bringing
should
up
be
this
like
happy home.
he looked like he should be the principal of a high school or something on this picture.
That's what I thought it was at first. I was like, who's principal dude? They was like, nah, that's the man that broke up that happy home. I was like, oh.
Oh man. But she said Dale's getting it in too, man.
Well,
I'm sure Dale, yeah, NBA player. You know Dale had some things going on.
Yeah.
I'm like, Dale Curry seemed like a family man. Like Dale getting it in.
He won't busting threes for nothing, okay?
I get it in.
Yeah.
I get it in. Hey man, I'm never happy to see a happy home broken up, man. So well, evidently it wasn't that happy, but you still get my drift.
That's what they showed us on TV. That's what it was.
Hey, but in all seriousness, this should let us know people always get infatuated with celebrity couples. And like back in the day, everybody wanted to be like Will Smith and Jada Pinkett, and we saw that their household wasn't happy. It was like, no, but seriously, we have this perversion and this obsession with celebrity couples and saying that's my couple. Well, I want to be like them. And even people that we know in our lives, we say, oh, I want to be like Jim and Sally, or whatever. The thing is, if you don't live in the house with these people, you don't know what they have going on.
Absolutely.
So anybody can show you something from the outside and say that we're a happy couple, and the whole time both of them could be having affairs. So you can't go by that. So the thing is, don't ever base your happiness on what you see someone else doing.
Yeah, don't try to chase that situation. That's for
Nah.
Correct.
You have to do your own thing.
We got our own thing.
What they say? Redhead Bay was canceled this morning. Rest in peace, Rachel Nichols.
I
heard about that.
Yeah, I'm not that crazy about Rachel anyway, because she always tried to push her political agenda and stuff. And I'm not trying to get into politics, but she always tried to put her activist agenda and incorporate it in her show. And sometimes she would take any little thing and try to make an agenda out of it and make a deal out of it. And I'm like, chick, just lighten up some.
They do what they try to do to get more visibility. That's what
true.
It is.
That's true. But I'm not going to miss Rachel Nichols one bit. So
no, they got plenty of other sportscasters out there that can.
Yeah, they didn't let us. They didn't part ways with several people because
Max Kellerman's in the lead too, ain't
he? Yeah, because they're trying to get Max Johnson on First Take. The real nice looking woman, the woman that's like super fine. What's her Carrie Champion? She's been going over a year now.
Carrie Champion.
That's another one that just left. Maria Taylor.
Yeah.
That's
Zach Taylor's Jason Taylor's not Jason. Is his name Jason Taylor? No, Zach Taylor. The one that played football for the Dolphins. That's his daughter.
That's Jason Taylor's sister, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Oh, for real? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Jason Taylor that played for the Dolphins. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. They still got Sage Steele. I met Sage Steele in Phoenix, Arizona, at the lobby of the JW Marriott 2 years ago.
Who was there was one girl I did the Warriors games. I forgot her name. Rose something. Rose. Oh man. She got one of those hyphenated names.
She must be married and didn't change her name completely. I don't know right off the top. Maybe somebody in the chat can help us out.
Rachel Nichols been on the hot seat after what happened with Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, then when her hot mic thing where was saying some stuff about Maria Taylor, that's where the whole thing when she got mad when they were gonna have Maria Taylor cover the NBA finals, and there was a hot mic but she didn't know she was being recorded.
Listen, I'm here for this celebrity boxing match for Skip Bayless and Charles Barkley, so I can get a good laugh.
Charles will win that.
Really?
I said Charles will win that.
I hope so.
What's that?
Ellie Duncan and
Ellie Duncan, she's a nice looking girl too. She like black men too. Ellie Duncan. She said it one time. No, she said that like one time. Like she was on the show with Michael Smith and Jamel Hill that time, and she was like, "Yeah, Ellie Duncan. She like black. She like black dudes."
Rosalind Gold, Awude. That's her name.
Rosalind Gold Awude. I gotta look her up.
Yeah,
I gotta look up too. I'm not familiar with her.
She next up. Trust me. She was on the Nigerian women's basketball team.
Oh, word?
And she don't look like she has ever been to Nigeria.
Okay, I ain't getting into
I'm
that.
just saying she don't look. She not looking like one of the
I got you,
one of the
man.
Nigerian folks.
I got you, man. Let's reel that in a little bit, but I got you.
Yeah, she might be next up. She might be next up.
Oh, I feel you. I feel you. Yeah, I'm gonna look her up, man. 'Cause I want. Now you got me wanting to
Yeah.
learn about her because I'm not
Yeah,
that familiar.
she always does the Warriors. Because I live in the Bay, so I'm always watching when the Warriors play. So I was used to seeing her all the time.
Okay, you way out in the west.
Oh yeah,
How
I
they
do.
how they how you think they gonna do this year? What you think
Stanford
about the
Park.
Warriors. Oh
Warriors?
man, they got a squad, bro. They
Who?
got a
What
squad. Yeah,
Who we
the
talking about?
Warriors? The Warriors.
Warriors.
I mean, they're going to be a good team. The key is, can Klay Thompson be the same defensively as he used to be? We know he's going to be able to shoot the ball, but after having ACL and a ruptured Achilles, will he be able to have the lateral movement defensively and be a lockdown defender like he used to be?
Yeah, I
I think
think they won't have to have him guard a lot of people like they used to. I think oh man, what the hell's his name? A lot of brain fart right now.
Andrew Wiggins.
Wiggins, sorry. Yeah, Wiggins can pretty much guard just about anybody on the floor.
Wiggins is a good player, man. I thought he was going to be better than what he was coming out of Kansas. I'm not saying he's bad or nothing. It's just the hype around Wiggins. That Wiggins was supposed to be a generational talent, and he's still a good player, but he's not a generational player that I thought he was going to be.
Didn't they say that about Jabari Parker?
Yeah, Jabari Parker had a lot of injuries too, though. But yeah,
didn't he get hurt the first year he was in the league too?
Yeah, been hurt like every year. His knees are like gone. Because I don't even know who he with. Yeah, but I expect the Warriors to have a good team. Like I said, maybe like if everything comes to fruition with Wiggins being the lockdown defender, then we'll see. But I just question if Thompson can guard people like he used to. A lot of people forget that Thompson was like a first team All League defender.
Oh yeah, I mean their defense. I mean with him and Draymond on the floor, they pretty much had the 2 and the 4 position locked down. You know what I mean?
And Draymond could guard multiple positions too, so that's what made him so. It wasn't offensively; it was more of he could guard pick and rolls and stuff too, and guard multiple positions. That's what made him so valuable. Because in the modern day NBA, you got to be able to guard multiple positions, especially your bigs like your power forward stuff. Because you have so many stretch forwards and so many perimeter based guys now, where your power forwards have to be able to guard the perimeter and be able to show them pick and rolls and stuff too.
Yeah, and the West is going to be loaded next year anyway. So if they get an 8th seed, I'll be happy with that.
Well, they should have got 8th seed this year, but that stupid play-in thing.
Yeah,
I don't even
want them on the Lakers.
Yeah,
they should have been playing anyway. They got hit with injuries too.
Right, but my point is, you shouldn't even have a play-in. If you got a whole regular season to get in the top 8. After the regular season, if you didn't make it in the top 8, why are you getting a duo? Like if you finish 10th in the West or in the East, why are you getting an opportunity to play for an opportunity to make the playoffs? If you couldn't get it done in the 82 games, then why are we giving you a tournament to try to get in again? All that is about the dollar bill. That's about getting more TV games for the networks to make more money. But that is because the thing about it, what you're doing, you're rewarding mediocrity. So a team could go 40-42 and finish 10th, and a team could go 45-37 and finish 8th, and you were giving that 10th team that had a sub 500 record a chance to go to the playoffs over the team who had a winning record because they got lucky and beat them in a one-game playoff that should have never happened in the first place after they didn't win enough games to qualify to make it. That's BS, and Adam Silver knows it.
Yeah, they at least get Klay and Iguodala back this year too.
Yeah, but Iguodala is 1 foot in the retirement home.
But he can still guard folks though. He didn't do bad in Miami.
No, he didn't.
He's not a 48-minute player. He ain't even a 35-minute player. But he can at least move along the floor.
Yeah, but if you expect him to be Finals MVP like it was a few years ago,
oh hell no.
Nah, those days are coming. That's coming and gone.
Oh, that's right. They got Otto Porter Jr. too, and
he wasn't bad.
They got a few good folks.
The former Georgetown Warrior, Washington Wizard.
Yeah, so I met him, man, when I lived in DC.
Oh, for real?
I saw him at the mall. Him and Bradley Beal was together in the mall.
That's crazy, man.
That's another good player that I feel like need to go somewhere else.
Beal,
good.
Yeah,
he's good.
Lakers. I think he would have been good on the Lakers.
He'd have been a perfect fit for the Lakers to shoot. His ability to stretch the floor. He'd have been a perfect fit because the Lakers need floor spacing, and he gives you. There are a lot of teams that would love to have Bradley Beal because of his floor spacing. Teams that are on the cusp or teams that are trying to compete to win the whole thing. That he could, like, he's not a guy that's going to lead a team to a championship, but he's a guy, if you got a contender, he can help a contender get over the hump.
He compliments. He would compliment somebody like LeBron.
Absolutely, because LeBron want guys to camp out on the baseline three anyway.
Yeah, and plus Bill could put the ball on the floor and he could shoot from outside, so
Right.
he'd be a perfect compliment for LeBron.
And then he wouldn't have to worry about getting double teamed either. He'd be wide open most of the time. So yeah, and he would be a fit with the Lakers or any team that's trying to contend. He'd be a good fit in Brooklyn. He'd be a good fit in Milwaukee. Any of these teams that are in contenders for a championship, he'd be a good fit on. Because
You think them having Westbrook is an automatic championship for them?
No, I'm a Lakers fan, by the way. No. I'm not saying that they can't win it, but it's not automatic. The thing is, I like Westbrook. I think he's an excellent talent. What I don't like is I think he's a great talent and a great scorer, but as a pure point guard, he doesn't know when to pick the tempo up and doesn't know when to slow the game down, and that can be problematic. Also, with LeBron there, he's gonna have to play off the ball some. Don't know how he is off the ball because he's so used to having the ball. I know he played with Durant off the ball too, so I mean, I know he's done it before. I mean, well, he had the ball in his hands, but he played with a ball dominant Durant too.
Who's the X factor on the Lakers right now? Is it Melo?
No, he 1 foot in the nursing home. The X factor would be someone like Kendrick Nunn or Malik Monk.
Okay, I like Malik Monk too.
I like Malik Monk and Kendrick Nunn. James Borrego just didn't know how to play him in Charlotte. I think being in LA, that's going to be a great opportunity. He's going to get opportunities to get wide open shots. He's a guy that's give you instant offense off the bench. He and Kendrick Nunn on your second unit. That's going to be a lot of firepower. Back to the Carmelo Anthony thing. I don't even think Carmelo Anthony is going to be a factor. I think in order to win a championship, you're probably going to have him not even in the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of those guys that he has a legacy, but let's not get caught up in the name. At this point, it's nothing more than a name. As far
sorry, not to mention the West is loaded with point guards. So Westbrook is going to be guarding the best point guards almost every other night.
I agree. And the thing is, he's going to get his numbers, but I also wonder about the spacing because he's an ISO guy. He likes to drive to the basket. He's an okay three-point shooter, but he's not an efficient player. I still wonder. I wonder how that's going to impact Anthony Davis because you got to realize even on the glass, he and Davis both are guys. Westbrook's a big-time rebounder too. I wonder is Anthony Davis's offense going to suffer some as well because you got to realize there's only one basketball out there.
That's true.
But here's the bright side. Anthony Davis gets injured all the time. So when Anthony Davis get injured, at least LeBron has another guy that he could depend on when Anthony Davis is out. Last year, Anthony Davis and LeBron got hurt, and we lost most of those games. They were both out. If you have a
majority of motion offense, right?
Correct. I mean, when they run sets, but they're not always running sets. The thing when you got talent, it doesn't matter what you run if you got the talent. I mean, to be frank with you, the talent's going to supersede everything else. It's always with basketball. Definitely, it's the talent more than the system that's going to make the difference. With if James and Davis get hurt like they did last year, at least you have someone that you can depend on. Like Westbrook is. Let's say if they both missed 20 games. I'm talking about at the same time. If you got Westbrook there, he could at least get you 10 of those 20 games where you're 500. You don't lose a whole lot of ground.
Yeah,
so
Westbrook he can easily average 40 minutes a game. He's a big minutes guy too.
So, I mean, I think ultimately Frank Vogel's going to have to coach and the role's going to have to be defined. I think they're going to be in contention, but no, it's not automatic to answer your question. It's never automatic. We thought the Brooklyn Nets were automatic too, and a lot of people did, and it didn't work out that way. So,
I hate to be the hypothetical person, but I think if Kyrie, Harden, and Durant play against Milwaukee, it's not even close.
That may be true, but that's part of the game, man.
I know. I'm just saying. And Katie was like, what, 2 inches away from beating Milwaukee in that shot that he took?
Game of inches. All I can say is he should have had his toe back a little further.
That's true. But I think
the thing is, I didn't mean to cut you off. The thing is, you had a game 7 at home. Having Kevin Durant and James Harden should have been more than enough at home to win a game 7.
Mm-hmm.
James Harden goes 5 of 23 from the floor at home. You can't have that. And he always choke in big games. He did it with Houston. He did it with the Thunder. He's always come small in the biggest moments. And I think that's just a microcosm of his career. He's a great regular season player, but when you need him the most, he comes up short. And even then, the firepower of Kevin Durant and James Harden, two former MVPs, should have been enough at home to win a Game 7 against the Milwaukee Bucks, and they failed to get it done. They had ample opportunities to win that.
Dylan said THT is the X factor, he thinks.
Horton Tucker? I can see that. I like Horton Tucker.
Yeah.
Horton Tucker probably going to be the starting shooting guard. Probably.
More than likely.
I can see that.
I like him. And he's a guy, the more minutes he get, he's productive in his minutes.
Full game series, healthy, Nets or Lakers?
Ooh. I'm biased because I like the Lakers.
Lakers, yeah.
I'm biased though.
If they relying on Harden, I'd have to go with. I mean, both of them. You got two guys that don't show up in big championship games. You got Westbrook don't show up when it counts either, and you got
played in that big. To be fair, Westbrook lost in the first round so many times since Durant been going where he ain't really been in that many big playoff games because he kept losing the first round. So.
And the only one that really had a lot of playoff experience winning is Durant.
Yeah, some of that was with your guys by the Bay, but where he walked into a ready-made team already had won a championship and it won 73 games. I'm not gonna get into that, but
that we ain't gonna talk about how that should have been a three-peat. Should have been.
Yeah, but he ruptured his Achilles, and that's why he lost to Toronto. But that's part of the game. I don't feel sorry. I don't feel sorry for any of that. It just that's the way the ball bounces.
That's a tough call. If
like
really healthy.
It's just like this. The Lakers wouldn't have been a 7 seed had they been healthy. The Lakers would have been like a 2 or 3 seed. So, but still, Lakers lost in the first round. That's the part of the game. What I don't like, and I'm not accusing you of this, but people do it all the time. I hate when people try to take away from someone else's accomplishment because somebody else got hurt on another team.
Oh yeah,
that's just the way the ball bounces, man.
Yeah, and I think Phoenix was hungry, and I think they wanted that game a lot more than the Lakers did, in my opinion.
I agree because that game 6, there was not even much effort from the Lakers there.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, well, I'm with you 100%, my brother.
Yeah,
I gotta subscribe to your channel too, man. Since he's you may have already done it, but you just shout it out loud so when I come back and watch it over.
Channel Chilltown.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think you got a range. You can put it in the chat to you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Do you remember that the album by Eric Sermon called Chilltown, New York?
Oh yeah.
It came out like 18 years ago or something. That was like probably
fan.
Okay, so relax your mind, let your conscience be free, and get down to the sounds of the PMD.
I honestly don't know why he made an album called Chilltown. He knows there's only one Chilltown on the East Coast, and it's Jersey City. It's not. There's no such thing as Chilltown, New York. No way.
I ain't getting into that. Are you should keep quiet while the MC rap, or if you're tired, then go take a nap. I sit back and watch the 4 I take because right now I'm about to shake and bake. The ERCK is my name. I spell. I can do the lisp and everything like him. I shouldn't have done that. The crossover.
Oh yeah.
The original bucket hat guys, man.
Oh yeah.
Jay-Z used one of their beats too. That ding 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 ding. Ding 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 ding. Yeah, he used that. That was an EPMD beat, but
and they never put out a bad album either.
I feel you.
Yeah, I put my channel in the chat too.
There it is.
I watched that whole interview with Draymond and Katie. That was a classic.
I hadn't even seen it yet.
I gotta check it out,
classic, man. That was real good, and you could tell that Draymond is a shoot from the hip dude. And him and Katie let people know how they felt about that whole situation when they got into a beef.
I didn't see the interview, but to me, people get in arguments stuff all the time, and that happens, colleagues and all that. What I didn't like is when you make the statement that if you're to me it seemed like there was some personal animosity there, and I know they're probably not gonna say it is, but when you make the statement in an argument, go ahead and leave if you want to because we won it with that before you ever got here. That doesn't sound like a heat of the moment comment. That's because even in the argument, why early first quarter of the season you're talking about what you're going to do during the summer during free agency, what someone else is going to do during the summer free agency. To me, that sounded like there was that was built-in animosity that he was holding on to, and that was the opportunity to let it out.
Yeah.
But of course, I'm sure he's going to chalk it up and say it was heat of the moment, just like if Nick and I got into it, and I was like "F you" or something like that. That's heat of the moment. But if let's say if Nick and I get an argument about something, and then I bring up something personal that wasn't necessarily pertinent to what we're arguing about, then that comes off like I'm holding something against him that I've already held against him all along, and I'm just using this as an opportunity to say it out, just to say it out loud. And to me, that's what that came off as, just like there was some personal animosity there anyway, and that was the opportunity to use it. Just like when someone insults you, then they say they were just joking when you know they weren't joking. Kind of under that same light.
Yeah. And when you watch the video, in the interview, you'll see why, and they break it down why it played out the way that it did, because it had a lot to do with the front office too. The front office got involved, and you know teams, they beef with each other all the time. You see them beefing on the court. A lot of these teams, they handle it in the locker room, and that's it.
Yeah,
I
know. I'm being a Lakers fan. I saw a team that won 3 championships in a row. The top 2 players, almost beat their entire dynasty. So I mean, I've seen it happen where
and more so is they were 2 alpha males that really,
Even here in Charlotte, and I know that this Charlotte team wasn't to that level, but you could even go back to Alonzo Mourning and Larry Johnson. And then when they got on different teams, when Larry went to the Knicks and Zoe went to Miami, we saw how it really was.
So they really had beef, and you can see that.
Yeah, Jeff and Gundy were hanging on dude's legs.
Yeah, they're getting dragged around the whole time. It's like
that's how you know it was petty, because you got Draymond and you got KD. They had their thing. They both, went their separate ways. Draymond stayed in Golden State, but they also just both played on the Olympic team.
Yeah. Well, one thing about the Olympics, it's a uniting thing, because at that point, with the exception of the Isaiah Thomas situation, that's typically where you're representing your entire. You're not representing a brand. You're representing your entire country, and at that point, it's like everything else is put aside. That's how. Yeah, I said it with the exception of the Isaiah Thomas situation. That was petty. Typically speaking, you can put those aside to represent your country.
Who's your best? Outside of the Dream Team, which is a lot of people's favorites, are there any Olympic teams you think that could come close to beating that team?
No.
Not even the 2012 team?
The Redeem team? No.
Nah.
No.
2016?
2000 whatever team? No.
Wow.
That team had more Hall of Famers than a little bit.
Kobe, LeBron, Melo,
great players.
Kyrie.
Great players. Okay.
I'm just starting the conversation. I wanted to hear what people think.
It's all good. One thing you're gonna know about me, I'm kind of a hip shooter too. So when I'm talking like this, I'm not belittling anyone's opinion. That's just how I come off when I talk. So
I was just looking. I'm thinking like matchups, right? And I'm thinking who would guard who's coming off the bench, which team had the better coach.
Okay, let's go with the point guard matchup. On the 2012 team, who's the starting point guard?
Westbrook.
All right, Magic Johnson's the greatest point guard of all time. That's starting point guard on the
92 team.
Yeah. So we got Westbrook against the greatest point guard of all time. Starting 2 guard, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. As much as God rest his soul, as much as I love Kobe, I'd give Jordan the edge over Kobe.
Okay.
Who's starting small forward? Durant.
Yep.
Scottie Pippen would start a small forward on the. I give that to Durant.
Okay.
Power forward, Karl Malone versus.
Was Karl starting or was it Barkley?
Might have been either one. Those are 2 of the 3 greatest power forwards of all time. Tim Duncan, Charles Barkley, and Karl Malone, whatever order you want to put them in, are the 3 greatest power forwards ever. So even if it was Barkley, let's say it was Barkley, whichever one, we'll coin toss. We'll say Malone or Barkley versus who's starting power forward in 16 or whatever year 12.
Might have been. I want to say it was probably Tyson Chandler.
He started.
Chandler? Nah. Maybe. Oh man, hold on.
Kevin Garnett.
Garnett was still playing. Was he on that team?
I don't remember. I don't think he was on that team.
Oh, AD. Sorry, AD.
to me, even with the height advantage, I'll take Charles Barkley or Karl Malone over Anthony Davis. But definitely Karl Malone over Anthony Davis. But I'll take Charles Barkley over him too, even with the height disadvantage.
So you think that Karl Malone would have his way with AD?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell AD is a guy AD is one of the most overrated players in the game, and I'm gonna tell you why. His numbers are always going to be there, but when it comes to actually having an impact, like when he was in New Orleans, he was there how many years? 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a lot of winning there, and he had good players around him. He had Julius Randle, he had Drew Holiday, guys who were going on other teams to play well. I know Cousins got hurt, but it's not like they were a team that had nothing around him when he was in New Orleans. He didn't Rondo, correct. That's so. My point is, I'm not saying championship. I'm just talking about being a consistent playoff team, even an 8 or 7 seed. They weren't even that when he was there. Whereas Charles Barkley, a 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" power forward, former league MVP. No matter how you feel about him, yes, he said some dumb stuff sometimes, but led a Phoenix team to the NBA Finals and was a league MVP. At 6 foot, he's really 6'4", but they listed him at 6'6". So we'll say 6'6". At 6'6", he led the league. He won a rebounding title at 6'6".
Okay, so let me mention this. I'm gonna nail off the roster real quick. I'm gonna start with the 2012 roster, right?
Okay.
We had Tyson Chandler, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, Deron Williams, Andre Iguodala, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Love, James Harden, Chris Paul, Anthony Davis, and Carmelo Anthony.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me go. But I want to correct myself because did Durant and James start at forward? Like James was the power forward and Durant was the small forward. Is that how they did it?
Yeah. Because Westbrook was the point, and LeBron. I'm sorry, Westbrook was the point. Kobe was the 2. LeBron was the 3, and Durant was the 5.
So they played a small ball lineup. So
yeah.
So Durant, was David Robinson the starter on the '92 team, or was David Robinson?
I think it was Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing coming off the bench.
Okay.
So here's the '92 squad: Christian Laettner, David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, Larry Bird, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, Clyde Drexler, Karl Malone, John Stockton, Chris Mullin, Charles Barkley, and Magic Johnson.
Okay. What I want to say is, I think when people evaluate now, I think there's a lot of recency bias because it's been so long since we've seen a lot of those other guys play. And I think we've seen the greatness of these current guys so long to where we forget how good some of these other guys were. And also in a situation where we're comparing eras too. Yeah. The rules were a little different. It was a more physical game because you could hand check and stuff back when those other guys played. What I can argue is what rules were international rules. International rules.
For the Olympic team, it's got to be international rules.
And see, it's kind of hard to compare because you could say that '92 team was more dominant. They didn't even have a game remotely close. But you could also say that in the era that the 2012 team played in, they played against better competition internationally because the international team, the other teams in other countries are better now as you got more NBA players playing on those international teams. Like back then, with the exception of, I'm about to get into that. Back then, with the exception of like Yugoslavia, where you had Toni Kukoc and Vlade Divac and the late Drazen Petrovic. But besides those guys, you didn't really have that many. I mean, you had Lithuania, you may have had Arvydas Sabonis, but I'm talking about you didn't have a whole lot of high caliber NBA players now, like with Argentina. You got for a while,
Spain,
you had like
and France.
The Gasol brothers in Spain, both of them are all stars. One defensive player of the year, other multi-time all star.
And Australia,
right? I know Ben didn't play this year, but that kind of talent. Going back to what was another country you just named? France, with Nick Batum, Patty Mills. There's another French player that's actually good. Tony Parker and guys like that.
Tobias Harris, is he French too?
I don't know. I'm not being funny. I don't know his origin.
I think the level of competition for that 2012 team was a lot higher internationally than that 92 team for sure. It wasn't even close.
And that's a fair point. And because even if you look at now, like when you look at guys like Slovenia with like Luka Doncic played for Slovenia, right? Yeah, just when you're talking about like a top tier MVP type candidate, like where's Nikola Jokic? Where's he from?
Oh man,
where is he from?
something. It's something like if it ain't Serbia,
It
it's
might
like
be Serbia, Montenegro,
Serbia,
like that.
Montenegro, some one of those former Yugoslavia countries. It might be Serbia, Montenegro, but like any of those guys, like Serbia, Montenegro, Croatia, all those guys, places like that. You got like you're starting to get where you got like star NBA players from those places now. So yeah, I will say that in like Spain, like you said, Marc Gasol, Pau Gasol, Juan Carlos Navarro, you got guys who are ballers, who are playing for these people now, for these countries now. So it is kind of, so to your point, and I'm giving you credit here. To your point, you can argue that the 2012 team had a much tougher gauntlet to run than the 1992 team. So it's kind of hard to make the comparable. That's why the only way I can make the comparable, I was trying to do the matchups when I was like, you got the guy that most regarded as the greatest player of all time. You got the guy that's the greatest point guard of all time, both in that backcourt.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Ewing's still a great player, no matter how you feel about him. Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, those are still great players. And now it's just depending on how the game is played. If you're playing small ball type thing, where you could say that under today's rules, international rules, and the way the game is played, you could argue that 2012 team got personnel that's more fit for today's style of game and today's rules, as far as being able to guard the perimeter. Like Anthony Davis can guard the perimeter, he can shoot threes and stuff just like a guard, even though he's a center forward. So
honestly, I think the 92 team, given the way they played ball back then, would bully this 2012 team
with the physicality.
We watched the practices that they was doing, right? And Magic is a big trash talker. Jordan, Pippen, those guys were
Drexler,
they were
Drexler
bullied.
and Jordan would get in.
I don't think LeBron could guard Karl Malone. I don't think LeBron could guard, Charles Barkley back then. I think they would get bullied.
Scottie Pippen would get LeBron ejected from a game, and LeBron's a better player than Scottie Pippen. I want to make that clear. But I'm talking about the tenacity that Scottie played with. Scottie would get LeBron ejected from a game.
I agree with that.
He would get him ejected. Durant would get ejected, fooling around. Scottie would get him Scottie and all those guys you just mentioned, those tough, hard-nosed guys, would get Durant. We already know he's emotionally fragile. Westbrook is fragile. All them guys, they would get all of them would get thrown out the game because they're not used to anybody stepping to them. Because the guys now are so friendly with each other because they all play AAU together, where they're all best friends. Well, back then, those guys were more gritty, they were more grimy, and they were the type that didn't mind getting into it. They didn't mind pushing and shoving. And like you said, I think the physicality would be the difference, not necessarily the skill, because you could argue that the guys on the 2012 team will be more fit to play today's international style of ball. Mm-hmm. But with the exception of like a Kobe Bryant, the old school physicality and that old man game, that old bully ball, as you said, would be more fitting with that 92 team. And I think physically and the physicality and the mentality would be the difference, which would give the 92 team an edge. Like you said, I think they would get the 2012 guys frustrated. So
and I think
I agree with that.
Team, the 2012 team honestly only had one. I like to call them just killers, right? They only had one killer on their team, and that was Kobe.
Yep.
That's it. Ain't nobody else a killer. Like Magic is a killer. Jordan is a killer. Barkley is a killer.
Yep.
They all just got they know how to smell blood and
most of those guys Kobe didn't play with right at the end of their prime, pretty much at the end of their careers, basically.
Exactly.
Yep. Like when Kobe, Duncan, and Garnett retired, that was kind of like, even though they weren't part of Jordan era, they were the era that came immediately after. They were the last of that gritty, tough, like, no, that's not my best friend type era. Whereas now everybody came after that. It's like everybody best friends, everybody homies and stuff, and everybody want to hug and kiss on the floor.
No,
whereas
it wasn't like that in back in those 90s for real.
Yeah, and even in the early 2000s, like even the Garnett, Kobe, Duncan era, they were the last of that you can kiss my type crew. Like yeah. And like now it's like everybody just want to hug and kiss and hold hands. That's my best friend. That's my buddy. I'm just like, gosh.
Yeah, it ain't that. It definitely ain't that. It's not like that anymore. It ain't those 93 Knicks and 93 Pacers. It ain't like that. No.
Yeah, Knicks Heat, Knicks Pacers. Yeah, all those
Bulls Knicks, Bulls Pacers, Bulls Detroit.
Yeah, for real. Pistons Celtics. Pistons Bulls.
The East was all bullies, and the West was flashy, basically.
Yeah. Had Showtime on the West.
Mm-hmm. It's Showtime Lakers.
And then the East, you had that gritty, grimy, hard-nosed lunch pail style. Like I put like this: John Starks wasn't hugging Michael Jordan, giving him a pat on the butt, telling him he was the man.
Oh
Nope.
no.
John
He won.
and
He won the
sometimes
quiet.
Jordan would give him the business, but Stark still kept competing. It won't like he's he's the best player in the world. He's so no, it was none of that going on.
No.
I'll tell you another guy who reminded me of that had that kind of grit that played kind of in that Kobe era. James Posey. James Posey, James Posey had that grit. Of this era of guys playing, it's almost a tail end. Rajon Rondo has that grit too. I'm talking about he has that. Of the new guys,
I give it to Draymond. I think Draymond's got that for sure.
True.
I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer in my opinion.
I don't, because I think he's a product of his environment. I think he benefited. He will get in, but I don't think it's necessarily deserving. I think we saw how minimal impact he had when he didn't have the whole crew around him in the last 2 years.
But you also saw the Warriors not win the championship because he got suspended from a game.
You could say that, but at the same time, they still had enough firepower to win. They just didn't. And then he was back for that game 7. So I mean,
okay. Let me put it this way: the Warriors were up 3-1.
That's a choke job.
And that was they had 3 games with Draymond. They didn't win another game without Draymond. They lost the next 3 games, and one of them was without Draymond.
He was back for that game 7. Even the game that they lost at home, you could argue they had enough firepower to win it, and they just choked. I'm not saying that he didn't have an impact. He's a great defender. He's a great defender, and you need his defense. But the thing about that's only one component of the game, and that's a team. When I'm thinking of someone being a Hall of Famer, I'm thinking of someone who can impact the team even when he's not surrounded by 3 other superstars. I'm about to say, and at that time, you had Thompson and Curry. I'm about to say he was by and large the third option. It's kind of hard for me. I'll put it like this: you couldn't start a franchise and build it around him. And when I'm thinking of,
let me ask you this: do the Warriors win championships without Draymond?
No.
Okay.
Not the first one. Not the first one. I would say the ones with Durant, yes. The one before Durant got there, no. The 1 in 15, they do not win it without him.
So out of the people, who would you put in over Draymond? Who's not in right now that you would put in over Draymond?
Okay, let me preface this. The Basketball Hall of Fame has a low standard. So based on the low standard, based on the current standard of the Basketball Hall of Fame, I will put him in because you let everybody else in. I mean, Vlade Divac is in, so why not Draymond be in? If you're talking about the standard. Now, if you're talking about how I feel like the Hall of Fame should be, no, I don't think it should be in. I would take a guy like a Glenn Rice. I'm talking about if you're just saying on pure standard, a guy who's been a multi-time All-Star, been All-Star MVP, won a championship and starting small forward with the Lakers too. I would say a guy like Glenn Rice, in my opinion, is more worthy than Draymond Green. To me, the reason we know about Draymond Green because he's in your face. We see him on TV. He's always around the camera. So we see his likeness all the time because he makes himself known. And I think we fall more in love with Draymond, the character. And the character is what we know, what he displays. I'm not taking away that he's a great defender. Bruce Bowen was a great defender. You could argue that a couple of those championship Spurs would have won without Bruce Bowen, but nobody argues that Bruce Bowen should be in the Hall of Fame. And Bruce Bowen was an all-league defender too.
Did Bruce Bowen ever win a Defensive Player of the Year?
No, he did not.
Okay. So
that's a fair point. But there are guys who won Defensive Player of the Year who's not in the Hall of Fame. Am I not mistaken?
This is true. I mean, Yao Ming's in the Hall of Fame.
Right. Mark Gasol was a former Defensive Player of the Year, and I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He'll probably get in on the international quota, but I'm just saying he was a Defensive Player of the Year and didn't even make first team All-League defense. Marcus Camby is a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Do you think Marcus Camby going in the Hall of Fame?
Was Marcus Camby's impact on his team worthy of getting him in the Hall of Fame?
Did Marcus Camby have Klay Thompson? Did Marcus Camby have Steph Curry, a back-to-back league MVP? Did he have Kevin Durant on his team? No. You had Carmelo Anthony and Vashawn Leonard and a bunch of role players. And Carmelo Anthony never got his team out the first round until they brought Chauncey Billups there.
So my case would be this. I believe, this is just my opinion. I believe, and not just because I like the Warriors, I know that his impact on his championship teams, I'm not even counting where they broke the Bulls' regular season record. He's won championships on teams that he was a big contributor to those seasons and the playoff teams.
He was a big contributor defensively. On the last 2, he wasn't a factor offensively at all.
Well, in some cases, he doesn't need to be an offensive factor. Would you let Robert Ory in? Would you put Robert
No,
Ory
and
in?
that was the next art. And Robert Ory, I was going to mention him. Robert Ory is a 7-time champion, and their shots that he hit, you could argue that the Rockets never even beat the Spurs in the West Finals if he doesn't hit that shot in Game 1 to give them the lead. I could also argue that against Phoenix in the conference finals when Mario Elie, when they brought them back from 3-1, when Mario Elie hit the game-winning three, you can if-then a whole bunch of scenarios but you can say as many big shots. Robert Ory hit big shots, so many big shots to where if he missed those shots, you would have a different result on who the champion is. But nevertheless, and so he still had an impact. But just because you had an impact doesn't mean that you're a Hall of Famer. If you're a role player and you're good at your role, you're supposed to have an impact. That's what you're paid to do.
Right.
So, like for example, if your job is to lock somebody down or play good defense, and that's your role, like James Posey was a great lockdown defender on that Miami team in 06 that won the championship. But James Posey, I don't think is a Hall of Famer, but he still had an impact on that. You're a role player, but if you take a team and say, I'm going to build this around James Posey, because to me, the Hall of Fame is supposed to be an exclusive club that represents greatness and represents individual greatness as well. When you ask me about Draymond Green, he's an excellent he's an excellent piece to the puzzle, but he's not the centerpiece.
So if he goes to, let's say he goes to the Lakers. Let's put him on the Lakers team. Does he do the same thing he's doing with the Warriors?
Possibly, but that's the same situation. You're going to a loaded stack situation where there's no pressure on you. Like even offensively, there's no pressure on him offensively because it's not like he's the guy that you're planning to double team.
So you think he's better or worse if he goes to? I'm using these ifs. What if he goes to Minnesota?
If he goes to Minnesota, he's not a factor, and you forget he's in the league
at all, like zero. Like he's not going to have any impact on the Timberwolves whatsoever.
Correct.
So he's a sub single digit average in points, a sub single digit average in rebounds. He's just Joe.
He was
Schmo
that.
Out there.
That's what he's been the last 2 years with Golden State. Single digits across the board.
Did he win a national championship in college?
No, but he played on some good Michigan State teams.
Okay.
They got to like Final Four with him.
Okay. Yeah. I guess time will tell. Well, here's what I do know, and I think maybe you might agree with this. The criteria for the NBA Hall of Fame is low, questionable at best.
It's low. I'm not giving him the benefit of the question. It's low, and it's not just exclusively NBA Hall of Fame. It's the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. So they got these quotas. They got to get these international people in. They got to get these college folks in. It's a quota system. That's how Tony Kukoc and Vlade Divac are in the Hall of Fame. And even with the international quota, Vlade Divac wasn't even a factor over in Yugoslavia. That's why I can't understand. And he played the majority of his career in the States. He only played like a year or two in Yugoslavia and wasn't a focal point there. That's why I don't understand how in the world Vlade Divac's in the Hall of Fame besides meeting the quota.
Yeah.
See, I can deal with Arvydas Sabonis being in because at least when he was overseas, he was that dude in Lithuania. Like Arvydas Sabonis was like in Lithuania. It's like the way we revere like a Jordan in the U.S. They revere Arvydas Sabonis like that, and his son Domantas Sabonis really is a good player. But
it's the Ball brothers.
Oh no!
LaMelo Ball is good.
LaMelo's good.
LaMelo's good. Lonzo is so-so, and LiAngelo, we don't even know if he can play or not. But
did he make the team?
I don't know, Nick. I don't really care. I mean, I'm not being funny, but LaMelo is the only one of those I really keep up with because he's the one that I think is going to be the franchise player. But he's the one that has a lot of young Magic Johnson in him. But back to the point that we were talking about before you got off on that crazy tangent. But the Basketball Hall of Fame, like I said, they have a quota system, and so the standard is really low. Like, and it's inconsistent. Like, for example, it took Artis Gilmore like over 20 years to get in. But if you look at his numbers, anyone else who had comparable numbers to him was already in the Hall of Fame. So it almost makes me wonder, like, so how could a guy like Vlade Divac get in so quick, but it took like over 20 years, like 25 years for a guy like Artis Gilmore to get in? It just makes you wonder, like, what's the standard? Like,
I think by the time I would say when it's all said and done, I think Draymond's got maybe some good years left in him, maybe 4 or 5, maybe less. I think he should be considered.
He's going to get in.
He's going to get in. Based off the standards now, more than likely, he'll get in.
Because Dennis Johnson is in. If Dennis Johnson is in, he's like Ray John Randall's going to get in. Like any marginal player who's a part of multiple championships is going to get in because the standard is so low. Like he's going to get in. Ray John Randall's going to get in. Who else?
Steve Kerr's going to get in.
Nah, not as a player.
Oh no, definitely not. Well, I think I would say overall, they don't just count your.
Well, they just like Bill,
as a coach.
Well, see, they have two like Bill Russell's in twice. Bill Russell, 2-time Hall of Famer. Bill Russell's in as a player and in as a coach.
Okay.
On 2 separate inductions.
What about any other players that do that? Player and coach? Pat Riley?
Pat ain't in as a player. He's in as a coach.
Jerry Sloan.
Maybe Jerry Sloan. Yeah, God rest his soul. Here's the thing. Most guys who were great players didn't end up being great coaches, and most great coaches were only marginal players. Like Rick Carlisle was a marginal player. Phil Jackson was a marginal player. Larry Brown was a JV player at Carolina. That was the highest level he played. Jerry West? Jerry West is an exception. He's not in. I'm trying to think. Is he in as a contributor / executive? I know he's in as a player, and I'm trying to think. Is he coached Lou? Casey Jones in as both. He's in as a player for the Celtics and coached the Celtics. So
okay.
He just died last year, didn't he?
Yeah, because I know Kerr would not get in as a player. He'd definitely get in as a coach.
I don't think he deserved to get in as a coach. But they went 39-4 when he was laying on his back when Luke Walton was coaching him, and we know Luke Walton's garbage. So
yes.
You don't think Kerr should get in as a coach?
You heard me correctly. You could send James Borrego to coach that team that year, and they would have still won a lot of games. He didn't.
Technically, he took it over from Mark Jackson, so I see your point.
Yeah. But I'm not saying he's bad, but I'm like, it's not like he had the coach. The last 2 years, he actually had the coach. They got to the finals when he was laying on his back when Mike Brown was coaching them through the playoffs. So I mean, it's one of those things.
It might not be a first ballot, but he'll get in. He'll get in.
Well, I mean, like I said, he walked into a good situation. That'd be like if Steve Nash get in coach. I know he's in as a player. That'd be like if Steve Nash get in as a coach for coaching the Nets. I'm like, come on, man, anybody can coach that team.
Yeah,
it's not like you had to build anything up. And the thing about it, and even with the Golden State thing, Kerr walked in right when it reached its apex. It was ascending every year. They won when Mark got there. They won 23 games. They hired him in the middle of the season. The next year he won 47 games. The year after he won 51 games, and then he got fired. Yep. So got to playoffs. He was there 2.5 years. The 2 full seasons. He only coached 2 full seasons. They coached like half a season and then 2 full seasons. And the 2 full seasons before he got there in the half season they were a 23-win team. The 2 full seasons coached there, they won 47 games and won 51 games. They were on the ascension anyway.
They were on their way up, and they drafted well.
Yeah, then David Lee got hurt, and Green was inserted into the lineup. But he caught them at the apex, and then of course they won 1 year, lost 1 year. Then when you brought in Durant, I'm like, come on, man, you or Nick could have gone out there and coached them when they had Durant.
Well, yeah, that's easy money.
Durant, shoot it.
Yeah, so like someone said, well, he got 3 championships as a coach, but I'm like, who else wouldn't have 3 championships in that situation?
Well, apparently that's what they're going to judge. They're probably going to judge coaches off of that.
Yeah, I mean, championships matter. To me, when players, coaches, whatever it is, championships should be the tiebreaker, not the end-all, be-all. The end-all, be-all should be the overall body of work. And then when you're trying to break the ties, or when you're trying to, after you've gone over the overall body of work and you're saying, okay, his body of work is equal to his, what's the tiebreaker? Then you can say, well, the tiebreaker is where he won this many finals MVPs and he led the team this many championships. That could be the tiebreaker when you're trying to separate. But greatness isn't determined by championships. Greatness is determined by effort and what you've done and based on what you had to work with. And if you were able to still be successful with what you had to work with when it wasn't as plentiful as what someone else had to work with, that still doesn't take away from your greatness. It's just when you're trying to separate the two. Like, for example, Charles Barkley.
How many straight finals did Kerr go to? 5?
Like five or something like that.
And he beat the Bulls 72-10 record, but lost the finals?
Correct.
Okay.
And now with that 73-9 record, he only coached 39 of those games.
He was hurt.
Yeah, Walton coached 43 of them. That's why he shouldn't have got coach of the year that year. For example, if a player misses 43 games, he doesn't win league MVP, even if his team has the best record.
And y'all don't get Luke as a coach.
Well, I mean, hell, that
they don't get Luke as a coach if they don't go 73-9.
It wouldn't hurt my feelings.
It wouldn't hurt my feelings a bit. I'm about to say, you trying to act like, oh, that would have been a big loss for us or something. I'm like,
no, definitely, he wouldn't have got any notoriety if they didn't go 73-9. That's for sure. He definitely wouldn't have got
right because they went 39-4. That's why I'm like that. The Luke Walton thing is a prime example. Like we know Luke Walton can't coach, but at that time they still went 39-4 with him at the helm.
Exactly. So your point's right. Anybody could have coached that team.
They were clicking on all cylinders. When a team is clicking on all cylinders. Now, when it comes to a coach, when it comes to one of the best coaches in the league, to me, I think Eric Spoelstra is a better coach than Steve Kerr. I think Eric Spoelstra is an excellent coach. Yeah, we know he had LeBron and Bosh and Wade, but even after LeBron left, they didn't do like Cleveland. Cleveland went into the dirt both times after LeBron left. Miami still solid. Miami just went to the finals the year before this past season. So
after LeBron left, what did Miami do?
They've been in the playoffs all but 1 year, and got to a finals appearance. Now you got to realize LeBron James at that time, best player in basketball at his peak, and then you had Dwayne Wade at his peak with them, two superstars, and then a very good Chris Bosh, who's a top 10 player at that time too, all together in one team. Of course, they should have won 2 championships.
Okay, let me ask you this one. I don't want to cut you off. That was a name I was waiting to hear. So who should go in the hall first? Well, I think Chris Bosh is already in, right? Didn't he just get?
Yeah, he's in.
Okay.
Yeah, because he retired first.
If you had to choose between Bosh and Draymond, who's going in?
Bosh.
Why?
I think Bosh is a better threat offensively, and I know you're going to say, well, there are 2 sides to the ball, but even in Toronto, he led Toronto to the playoffs several times. Let's play interchangeable game. If you put Draymond Green on those Toronto teams that didn't really have a whole lot there, Draymond Green wouldn't have led that Toronto Raptors team to a 47-win season and a division title to the playoffs.
No, I think he would have gave them defense, and Bosh was their number 1 scoring option.
Right. So my point is, the only thing that Draymond, if you took Bosh away and just said that, and we don't have Bosh, but we have Draymond in his place, I don't think that team gets to the playoffs. I'm talking about the Toronto team. Because Toronto was built around him. I'm not saying that he could have led Toronto to a championship, but I'm saying but he led them to the playoffs. At least I know three times. I know when he was there. I've never seen. I'm about to say Draymond Green the last 2 years has been where he hasn't had the superstars around him, and he's been Mr. Triple Single. One of those years when Curry was out and when Thompson was out, they didn't even get to go down to the bubble. They even finished the season. They were so bad. And then this year, they would have been the 8 seed had it not been for that stupid play-in thing. And you could argue if he was truly the starter people make him out to be, they'd have been in a better position not to even be in that 8 seed spot.
So what season was that Clay was that was last year, right?
Clay hasn't played in he didn't play this year or last year. Clay hasn't played Clay hasn't played since 2019.
2019.
Clay tore his ACL in the finals, and then right before the 1920 season started, he ruptured his Achilles in a workout. So he's back.
Appreciate it, Pac, man. Appreciate that, brother.
So he had back-to-back, and he had back-to-back ACL then Achilles. So, because the thing is, if you I love your Timberwolves analogy. If you had Green playing for the Timberwolves, there would still be a team just like there are now.
I would say it might depend on who the coach is too. I think if with the right coach, because he played for some good coaches. He played for a good one in college, and he got lucky to play under a good one on Golden State too. If Flip Saunders was in Minnesota, I think yes. If Kevin McHale was there, yes. Anybody else, a subpar coach, of course, Draymond is not going to do well because I don't think those coaches would probably know how to utilize him because he's definitely a talent. I'm not saying I think he probably won't be an all-star, but I think he'd be a good addition to any team he goes to because he does whatever they need him to do.
Oh, I think he might have fell out. Oh, there you go. Hold up. I think we get him back in here. There you go.
Yeah, my bad. I was trying to turn my camera off so I could charge my phone.
Oh, no worries. No worries. No, I was saying that I think he probably won't. I think he's got tangibles that can contribute to any team. I don't think he'll be a bench warmer, but if he goes, he can start on any NBA team.
Yeah, being a starter and being a great player are two different things.
You start because in my opinion, of course, if you put him on, give me a horrible team besides Minnesota.
Let me think of one. Give me a second. Let's just say the Orlando Magic, who are just use them as an example.
No matter who the coach is.
Right. I don't think he would be a factor on the Orlando Magic. Just like he hasn't been a real factor on the last 2 years with Golden State.
Yeah, he's a complimentary player.
Boom.
I think depending on who the coach is, because if a good coach knows how to get the most out of their people.
Correct.
Right.
But
and if you don't have that coaching IQ to get the most out of what Draymond brings to the table, then it's a detriment to him.
Correct. So that goes back to the original point. When we're talking about great players and Hall of Fame caliber players, greatness doesn't have caveats to it. So what I mean by that is when first of all, when you say so and so is a complimentary player, to me, I can't say I'm not knocking a complimentary player because you need complimentary players to win championships. You need dirty work guys. He does all those things. But when we're talking about when we're talking about being immortalized as a Hall of Famer, to me, the Hall of Fame should be reserved for the all-time greats, those who are the greatest of the greatest, not those who are good compliments to the greats. So and then also when we're saying that so and so can be affected if you have this and if you do that and if you have this coach and that coach. To me, a great player makes everything else around him better. He doesn't need someone else to make him better.
Okay, so what did Chris Bosh do that was great?
That's a fair point. I'll say that he was an 11-time All-Star.
Okay, so All-Star games count?
I mean, that's part of your resume. He was an 11-time All-Star, as an All-NBA player. Okay. I know the 2 championships he won, he wasn't the guy. I mean, he was still a guy giving you 18, 19 points a game on those championship teams. I will also say on that, I know they didn't win it that year, but the year they got in the finals, lost to the Mavericks. He was the reason they beat Chicago Bulls in the East Finals. He dominated Carlos Booz and dominated that series. So I mean, he was he made some big shots, and his offense was much needed. So no, did he do the things that Tim Duncan did? No. Did he do the things that LeBron James or Kobe Bryant did? No, or no, he did not. But when we're talking about comparing him to a Draymond Green, to me, I say that there's more. He has more overall impact. You can have a team and build a team around him and at least be a playoff team. Okay. Whereas with the Draymond Green, you can't build the team around and be a playoff team. But if you already have a playoff team, he could be the missing piece that can propel them to being a great team.
Okay. I'm doing some numbers crunching here, and I'm looking at what some of the things that Draymond has done within his 10 years, because he came in 2012.
Yeah.
He won 3 championships.
Yeah, what's the part of 3 championships?
He's got 3 NBA All-Star appearances. Mm-hmm. He's been a Defensive Player of the Year, 4-time first NBA defensive team.
Yes.
2 gold medals.
Yes.
That's only his first 10 years.
Yes, but the 2 gold medals is fine. Everybody who's on the roster gets a gold medal. Christian Laettner got a gold medal from the Dream Team in '92.
Christian Laettner should have been on that team. You know that.
Of course not, but you get my point. I mean, that's my point. Chris Mullin got a gold medal from that team, and I mean, Chris Mullin's a good player, but he ain't another Golden State Warrior.
Let me put Chris Bosh's up there. I got him side by side. Hold on one second. I'm just get my stuff together here. So here we go. Chris Bosh, 2-time NBA champion.
Okay.
11-time NBA All-Star. He played since. Actually, he went from 2003 to 2017, so 14 years. One All NBA second team. His numbers retired by the Miami Heat, and he's got 1 gold with the 2008 Olympic team. He was a McDonald's All-American, and he was on the All-Rookie team. That's it.
Okay.
14 years.
Yeah, I'm not saying so what are you saying that he didn't do? What are you saying what are you saying on his resume that's lackluster?
Oh, I'm not doubting his career. Nothing's lackluster to me. I'm just saying within 10 years, Draymond's got 3 championships. Chris Bosh has got 2.
So does Quinn Cook. So I mean,
yeah, but we're talking Draymond Green and Chris Bosh. We're not talking Quinn Cook
right.
and Mario Chalmers.
But at the same time, anybody who's employed by an organization gets a ring. So when if we're going to use the argument that he got 3 championships versus the other one got 2, you got to okay. The thing is, on the last 2 he won. I'm not saying that he didn't play good defense on them, but I'm talking about that team was super stacked. It's just you can make the argument if you put him on in that situation, then of course he would have just as many as well. I know you can't play the hypothetical game, but let's say he got one more championship when he played with 3 other stars on 2 of those, whereas with the 2 that Bosh won, he was one of the 3 stars.
Well, technically 4, because didn't they have Ray Allen too?
Ray Allen was past his prime, wasn't even starting on that. I mean, I know he hit the shot, but I'm talking about Ray Allen was a role player, not a star at that point in his career.
So without Ray Allen, he only has 1 championship.
Well, you can say that Kobe and Shaq won't have however many without Robert Horry if you're going to make that argument. You can say that Jordan not going to have only going to have 5 if it wasn't for John Paxson if you're going to go there. But that doesn't mean John Paxson will start. At the time that Ray Allen got there, Ray Allen got beat out by Avery Bradley up in Boston. Ray Allen was like in his last year, second to last year in the league, and was a role player coming off the bench.
Yeah,
just like
Robert Horry.
Yeah, so just like Gary Payton and on the 06 Miami team, if Gary Payton wouldn't have hit that go-ahead bucket, they would have gone down 3-0 to the Mavericks. But Gary Payton hit it. But at that time, you can't say they had Shaq, Wade, and Gary Payton as their 3 stars because Gary Payton wasn't a star at that point at all.
Mm-hmm.
But he still made a big shot in a moment that kept them from going down 3-0. They cut it to 2-1, and then they went on to win the series. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, not all the way the same situation, but Ray Allen may have been a big name, but at that time in his career, that's just like when Bob McAdoo won championships with the Lakers. Bob McAdoo wasn't the Bob McAdoo that played for the Buffalo Braves. That was a big-time star. By the time Bob McAdoo played with the Lakers, he was on this. Oh, when Bill Walton – here's a better example. Bill Walton won championship with the Celtics. I know he was the guy in Portland when he won one, but in his last bit of his career, he won with the Celtics. But it wasn't Bird, McHale, and Walton. Walton wasn't one of the stars. He was just 6th man of the year and was a contributor, but he wasn't the star that he was in Portland at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going to use Ray Allen at that point in his career, yeah, we were familiar with Ray Allen, the name, but Ray Allen at that stage was not the star. He was Ray Allen, the role player. He was just a role player with a big name.
So Draymond won 2 rings.
He won 3. He won 15.
One with Durant or 2 with Durant?
2 with Durant.
Okay. Bosh won his 2 rings with LeBron
James
and Wade, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
you still don't think Draymond's a Hall of Famer? If you give him 4 more years, that will put him at 14 years, same as Bosh. He's not a Hall of Famer in your book.
Not under the standards when we're talking about being a great player. He's a very good defensive. He's a good defender and role player. Just like I don't think Rodman deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't think Ben Wallace deserved to be in the Hall of Fame.
Wait a minute, say that again.
Just like I said,
I heard you.
I said you heard me. I said just like I don't think Rodman or Ben Wallace deserved to be in the Hall of Fame.
But Chris Bosh, you would put Chris Bosh in over Rodman and Ben Wallace?
I sure would. Because those 2 guys only had one job. So I'm about to say, yeah, I mean, they had one job. I'm about to say Bosh had bigger responsibility on him because he had to carry scoring loads too.
When was Chris Bosh the number 1 option in Miami?
He wasn't, but he still was got to average 17, 18 points a game. So there were still games where he had to put up big numbers.
And the Bulls, all they wanted Rodman to do was defend and rebound.
Right, and he did that well, but I'm talking about when that's the only thing you have to do, it's not like you have any other responsibility.
But if you don't do what they need you to do, like score 18 or 19 points a game and average 10 rebounds a game like Bosh did, what happens?
Say that question one more time.
If you're Chris Bosh and they need you to average 19 points or 20 points and 11 rebounds or 10 rebounds, and you don't do that in the playoffs or during the regular season,
then those Miami teams probably don't win the championship. Or it becomes that much more difficult for them, I'll put it like that.
So would you agree that without Rodman, the Bulls don't win those championships?
I wouldn't say that because they won 3 with Horace Grant in that same position.
Horace Grant is not Dennis Rodman.
They still won 3 with them.
Horace Grant averaged a double-double.
Right. So my point is, Rodman was just a placeholder. The year they lost to Orlando, that was the year that the Jordan came back.
Right? Yep.
But the point I'm making is that was also the first year that Grant was gone, because the year before they won 57 games, even without Jordan. Grant was there. The big drop off happened when Grant left, and they didn't have anyone in that spot. And even when Jordan came back, it still wasn't enough. And then they went to get Rodman to fill that hole in that power forward position. That wasn't like that was a star acquisition. It's just that there was a hole that they needed a solid placeholder in. My point is, they won 3 championships before Rodman ever got there. It's not like Rodman was the deciding factor. He was a contributor, but any good rebounder could have been in that spot, and they still could have won. They proved it 3 times already before he got there.
So you saying that whoever they could have picked to replace Rodman could have guarded Karl Malone in the NBA Finals?
Right. For example, they could have put Buck Williams in that same spot. You're a Jersey guy, so I know you know who Buck Williams is.
I know Buck Williams. The Nets Buck Williams, not the Portland Buck Williams.
Right. And Buck Williams is from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, originally, just so you know.
Okay.
So that's another great basketball player from North Carolina. They could have put Buck Williams or Jason Williams, the same Jason Williams that killed his limousine driver. They could have had either one of those guys, since we're dealing with Nets. Could have put either one of them in that same spot. Jason Williams, the limousine driver killer, was a great rebounder as well. I think he may have won the rebounding title with the Nets.
Could he average 17 rebounds?
He may have couldn't average 17, but he could probably give you 11 points and 12 rebounds. Like,
and you said he could have guarded Karl Malone in the NBA Finals?
He may not shut him down. Karl Malone's going to get his anyway, but he still could have played. The question wasn't my situation, not whether he can guard Karl Malone, is whether he could play well enough for the team to play well enough to win the championship. And just like this, if you want to, someone might say that Horace Grant can't guard Karl Malone, but he didn't have to. Just like it's not like Horace Grant shut down Charles Barkley. It's just the team, the overall team that played well enough to beat Phoenix.
Right.
But it's not like that Horace went down there and just shut Barkley down. Barkley held his own. Who did they play when they played Portland or whatever? It's not like Horace Grant, you're going to shut Cliff Robinson down. It's not that wasn't what it was asked to do. He asked to play solid defensive rebound. My point was, you won 3 in a row with Horace Grant there. Mm-hmm. So all you did, and you replaced him with another placeholder, another role player, more of a defensive minded guy. I know he averaged double-double, but it's not like Horace more like 13 and 11 type double-double. My point is, it's not like it was 17 rebounds. My point is, Buck Williams could give you what Horace Grant gave you as well. I'm not saying Buck Williams could give you what Dennis Rodman gave you rebounding, or that Jason Williams gave you what Dennis Rodman gave you rebounding, but I'm saying that either one of those two could have given you what Horace Grant did, and that was good enough to win 3 championships in a row.
Okay, so let me ask. All right, I get your point there. Is Dennis Rodman one of the top, I would say, top 10 defensive players of all time?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Is Chris Bosh one of the top 10 NBA players of all time?
No.
So how does one of the top 10 defensive players of all time not get in the Hall, but somebody that's not in the top 10 all-time players get in the Hall, in your opinion?
The same way Charles Barkley's in the Hall of Fame. He's not a top 10 defender or even a top 50 or top 60 defender of all time. The thing is, you're comparing one component of one's game, of where one person ranks in one component based on where the other one ranks overall. So that's not an apples to apples comparison. He might be a top 10 defender of all time, but he's not even the top 100 overall of all time.
So you don't think that you're saying that a top 10 defensive player does not deserve to be in the Hall?
That's what I'm saying, because that's only one element. When I think of Hall of Fame, I'm thinking of what's your overall body, your overall component, not just that one element. And to me, I think an offensive person deserves to get it. If a person is more proficient offensively but not quite as good defensively, I think that offense deserves to get the edge.
So was Robin an offensive liability?
No, but no. In some cases, yeah, but I'm not going to say it was a liability. The reason why is because he wasn't called upon to score. So you can't call it a liability if it wasn't requested from the first place. That wasn't requested of him. It wasn't asked of him. So I can't say that you're a liability when I never asked you to do this in the first place.
So if Chris Bosh averaged 15 rebounds through his whole career and only averaged 4 points a game, does he get in?
Not deservingly. I don't think he would deserve to get in, no.
Interesting.
And if you want to talk about and as far as the impact of one's defense, and Dikembe Mutombo is in, but my point is Dikembe Mutombo never won a championship, and he's a 4-time defensive player of the year. And as far as and the multi-time All-Star, like 8-time All-Star as well. And I like Dikembe Mutombo, so does not mean knocking on Dikembe Mutombo. But my point is, aside from that, the year in Philadelphia, Dikembe Mutombo was never on a team that was good enough to win a championship. So my point is, when he was with the Atlanta Hawks, they were just a middling team. When he was with the Denver Nuggets, they were just a middling team. I'm talking about his prime. I'm not talking about his washed-up years. They were just a middling team. So my point is, you can argue that if Draymond Green was in one of those other situations, or if Rodman was in one of those other situations, you could just say that his impact could have been what Dikembe Mutombo's was. He won all those defensive player of years, but it was still not enough to get the team over the hump because he won on teams good enough to win it all. And it's not like he elevated his team to championship level, even though he's a great rebounder and great defender. So, but if you put Dikembe Mutombo on a contending team, I ain't talking about. I know he got to the finals of Philadelphia, but I'm talking about throughout his career on one of the better championship contending teams. Let's say if Dikembe Mutombo would have been the center for the Bulls, he would have had multiple championships, and he would have been a contributor and a big piece of that puzzle. But that same effort didn't do that for the Atlanta Hawks.
Okay, let me ask you this now. I love hypotheticals, and let me tell you something. CCP, this is probably one of the best lives I've been on when we talk about sports.
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
So let me ask you this: and I'm always saying if they did a top 50 players all over again, is Bosh and Rodman both in that top 50?
I would probably say neither of them are in it, but I would say Bosh would. You talk 50 ever, because I mean, oh God, I know Rodman's not in it, and I doubt if Bosh is in it, and I know Green is not in it.
Why would Dennis Rodman not be in the top 50 players if they did it all over again?
I could argue, why was he not in the first 50? That was during the era. It was in the prime of his career when they named the first one. Shaquille O'Neal is in that list, and he was just only a third-year player. So there, Scottie Pippen is in it. I'm talking about on that team, and that was in the prime of his career. So my point is, this is all the same era of players. They're players that list was made in the prime of his career. He may have been with San Antonio or something when they dropped that, or he might have been in Chicago.
Those players on that list that wasn't even alive either.
Yeah, but so be it. I mean, they can't help they died. Everybody's going to do that. Kobe Bryant's dead. Do we take him off?
Yeah, who would you? I mean, they're like, who would you take off?
Yeah, so my point is, it's not like Robin was in his prime when that was made, and a lot of his peers are already on that team. Just like Dominique's not on that team, but I'm not. It's not about Dominique. My point is, if you're gonna at that time, it wasn't even believed that he was one of the 50 greatest, and that was in his prime. And so now, in retrospect, when you've had an entire new generation of other great players to come along, like your LeBrons and Durant's and stuff, who have to be accounted for, and now you're saying that he wasn't one then, but now we're going to retroactively throw him in now, even when we got more players that we've got to add and take off. To me, I'm not knocking you, but I'm saying that it's hard for me to make sense of that. If you're saying that, how do you not put him in? I'm like, he wasn't put in then when his career was going on, when his peers like Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen were. So if they didn't put him in then, it would be definitely a tough order to put him in now when we've got an entire slew of your Kobe Bryants and stuff that you have, and your Durants and LeBrons and even Garnett's and Duncans and stuff that you have to account for now. That's not even accounted for then because they weren't playing then. Now you got to even account for them. And if he wasn't accounted for then, it certainly would be hard to account for him now if he wasn't accounted for then with the other guys that you already got to account for that weren't accounted for.
So let me ask you this. So if you had to do the top 50 players all over again, you're saying that Robin would not be on it, or Bosh, or Draymond Green.
That is correct. And with the Rodman thing, the people who named the team even then in his prime when he was doing the things that he did, when he had already been a two-time All-Star, when he had already been a Defensive Player of the Year and a Sixth Man of the Year with Detroit, and May had 96, I think, when they named him. May have won one of those championships in Chicago, maybe, but they'd already won 2 championships in Detroit.
And also don't forget, on that top NBA list, they actually had media people on there too.
But it was the top 50 players of all time is what it was for the 50th and it was for the NBA's 50th anniversary in 1996 when they named the 50 greatest players of all time. There are plenty of people. I mean, because even now I'm trying to think of who you would take off. It'd be hard to narrow it down to 50 because even when it comes down to 50, I would argue that Scottie Pippen would come off of it by now. When you get to add, when you get to accounting for your Tim Duncans and Kobe Bryant stuff, I think that even a guy like Scottie Pippen will fall off of it.
So you would take Scottie out and put who in?
I'll put a Kobe Bryant in over Scottie Pippen for one. I'll put a Durant in over, but definitely a Kobe Bryant in over Scottie Pippen.
Okay, so nobody on that list would. I mean, okay, I'm looking at the list here.
Call me some names. I don't just know everybody's on it right off the top of my head.
Let's see. Well,
now, a guy like Dave DeBusschere and people like that, you got to take them off.
I'm going in alphabetical order.
Okay.
Kareem, of course. Nate Archibald.
Tiny would probably go. You might would take Tiny Archibald
off. That's true. Let's see. He only won one ring. 6 All-Stars.
Yeah, with the one ring, by the way, by the time he won that ring, he was not a key component. Tiny Archibald was a backup on that Celtics team. He was backing up Dennis Johnson. He was at the end of tail end. That was like a Gary Payton ring. Just throwing it out there.
There's a lot of one ring guys up here. I'd take Clyde Drexler off and put Kobe in there.
Maybe so. I'm not knocking that.
Rick Barry, Elgin Baylor.
Elgin never won one, but still he's a pioneer of the game.
Larry Bird, Wilt, Cousy, Dave Cowens.
Take Dave Cowens off.
Let's see.
Dave Cowens was good, but in today's era, Dave Cowens would be like just a little bit better than David Lee.
Anybody? I mean, there's a lot of Celtics on this list too. Don't forget that.
A lot of them don't deserve to be on there either. People like Casey Jones and stuff don't deserve to be on there.
Dave DeBusschere, Drexler.
Dave DeBusschere played with the Knicks. Take him off of there. He was a great executive. He drafted Patrick Ewing. Dave DeBusschere averaged like 12 points a game for his career. Take Dave DeBusschere off of that list.
Let me see. Julius Erving.
Keep him.
Ewing.
Keep him.
Walt Frazier. George Gervin.
Take Gervin off. Gervin was a pioneer because he was one of the first great ABA players to also be an all-star in the NBA. But Gervin only played 10 seasons in the NBA because he had played so many years in the ABA before. Mm-hmm. And those San Antonio teams, he was kind of more like in the vein of a Tracy McGrady in Orlando, putting up big numbers just to go 43 and 39.
Yeah.
So
John Havlicek.
Havlicek was good, but Elvin was
Big E got to stay, bro. Big E got to stay.
No, I didn't knock him. I said with the Wizards or the Bullets at the time, he and Unseld, they were kind of like the Tim Duncan and David Robinson, the precursor to the Twin Tower thing. So I mean, just off the legacy alone, Elvin Hayes is one of the top 10 all-time leading scorers too. So yeah,
and rebounders too.
Yeah.
Magic, Sam Jones, Michael Jordan, Jerry Lucas.
Sam Jones got to go. Dude averaged like 8 points for his career. A lot of those guys just on there because they played with Bill Russell on all them championships.
Yeah, he got 10 rings. Jerry Lucas, Karl Malone, Moses Malone,
deserving.
Pete, Kevin McHale.
Hey, let's start with Pete Maravich. Take him off.
Okay. Kevin McHale, George Mikan, Earl Monroe, Hakeem, Shaq.
Take Earl the Pearl off. Winston-Salem State grab. Take the Pearl off. Okay. There was another guy you mentioned before then that I wanted.
George Mikan.
No, George Mikan won 5 championships. George Mikan led the first three-peat ever when the Minneapolis Lakers won 5 championships in a row. So no, George Mikan. It was who would you say before George Mikan?
Kevin McHale.
Yeah, I'm on the fence on McHale.
I keep Kevin. I keep him on there. I keep him. Bob Pettit, Scottie Pippen, Willis Reed, Oscar Robinson, David Robinson, Bill Russell.
The David Robinson. Yeah, I think David was good, but I thought David was overrated.
I take David off and put Tim Duncan.
Boom! I can't argue that.
Swap for swap.
Boom.
Dolph Schayes, Bill Sharman, John Stockton, Isaiah Thomas, Nate Thurman, Wes Unseld, Bill Walton.
Walton got to go. Take Walton off.
He can go. Jerry West, Lenny Wilkins, and James Worthy.
I love James Worthy. I love him, but he wasn't one of the 50 greatest ever. James.
Does Chris Webber make your top 50?
Hell no. I keep Worthy.
Allen Iverson, does he make it?
Yes.
Yeah, makes it.
Okay. Let trying to see I can take out Nate Thurman. You could put LeBron in there.
Or take out whoever you put LeBron in there, but yeah. Whoever got to go. LeBron is in there. Whoever got to go just got to go. But LeBron's in there. You make room for him.
Yeah, there's a few. If they did,
well, see what I think happened. I don't think they'll do another top 50 since when's the next anniversary? Let's say 75 years should be around it. 96 was the 50th year anniversary. That was 25. So this should be the 75th anniversary, 75th anniversary. What they should do?
26 maybe they can do a 30-year anniversary.
Yeah, well, it'll be
They just need to make it a top 100. Just do
I was gonna do this year. You could do a top 75, but top 100 is fine. And then that way you can say, because if you do 50 over again, and when it comes to like the 50 greatest players, it's all based on whether the media is who voted on the Associated Press pretty much. It's based on whether they liked you or not. Because the sports media, they create their own narratives, and sometimes it's not always based on fact.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, Curry's definitely on top 50 list.
Man, you got to join us more often, man, because I like debating with people who are critical and can make you think and actually, it's not just anybody, but could actually get down and dig into the substance.
So if they added another 50, okay, let's see. If they added another 50, Robin's in there, no question, right?
If they got to 100,
I say yeah.
You gotta put Robin in there, man.
I say yeah. To me, I say yeah.
I think he's a specialist. If you did a list with the greatest defenders of all time, then I mean you could even say top 5 or so. But to me, he's the definition of a role player. He's a specialty player. He had one specialty. That's all you had to do, and he was great. He found what a specialty was, and he was great at it.
Like Curry, if they do another 100, I put Curry in there.
Well, I think Curry deserved to be in there anyway. I mean,
yeah, he need to be in the original top 50 for me.
Yeah, he's the greatest shooter. He's the greatest guy to ever shoot a basketball. I mean, let me rephrase that: the greatest shooter of all time, no doubt about it. God has never created a better shooter than Steph Curry.
Steph Curry.
I feel like this: any deficiency that Steph Curry have, whether it's defensively or whatever, his elite shooting supersedes any other flaw he has.
Correct.
So someone might say, well, he's not a good defender. He's short. He's not really a true point guard. I say it doesn't matter. He shoots the ball so well to whatever else he doesn't do well. It doesn't matter because the shooting is gonna supersede it all. What he gives you as a shooter will overcompensate for anything that he doesn't do well. For any blown assignment, anything like that, he'll make up for it with the shooting. Make it up 2 and 3 times over.
Dennis Rodman led the NBA in rebounding for 7 straight years.
That's great.
7 straight. And I'm talking like over 15 rebounds a game straight.
He's a great rebounder. That's all he had to do. That's all he had to do. It's not like they're running plays for him or anything. So all he had to do was rebound.
Yeah, he didn't. I think out of all of those seasons, he didn't even play 82 games. Only one season out of those he played 82 games.
And that's awesome.
He played 55 games with the Bulls and still led the league in rebounding, 16 a game.
That's because he was a great rebounder. I don't take that away from him. He only had one thing to do, and he was great at it. He crashed the boards. He made good outlet passes. And he was good at it.
He didn't get kicked out of too many playoff games, which was important too.
True, because he wasn't crazy. He was actually smart. A lot of times he was doing that trying to agitate the other guy to get him off his game. Whereas Ron Artest is just crazy.
Yeah, so, he's got a good basketball IQ, that's for sure.
Yeah, but like when it comes to Ron Artest, I mean, I'm not making light of mental health because mental health is important. But Ron Artest is just, I'm trying to word it in a PR friendly way.
Unstable.
There you go. Ron Artest is just unstable. Good one.
Unstable and unpredictable.
Right. And unhinged.
And I think that's another difference too. I think Draymond has a good basketball IQ.
But sometimes he can let his emotions get the best of him too.
Yeah, but he's not out there turning the ball over. He makes really smart decisions with the ball.
Because he's a smart player. He's a good passer too. Very good ball handler, good passer.
Decent 3-point shooter. And that's tough to say on that team.
has a more athletic Anthony Mason. I know Anthony Mason was left-handed, but I'm talking about but height-wise and everything, kind of the modern game's version of an Anthony Mason. And what I mean by that, Anthony Mason was a guy about that size. He was a point forward who brought the ball up, a good passer, good defender, tough guy. Anthony Mason was left-handed, whereas Draymond's not. But and Draymond's a better outside shooter than and I mean Mason can knock down outside shots, but I think Draymond hit him a little more with a little more proficiency than Anthony Mason did. But and Draymond's quicker and a little more athletic than Anthony Mason. But overall, if I look at the player comp of who you compare Draymond Green to, I think he's with the way the modern game is played, he's like the Anthony Mason of today.
Yeah, and of course Mason was good on every team he went for too.
Right. Granted, Draymond, of course, got more team accomplishments than Mason, but I'm just talking about individual player, not team accolades. Just as far as the individual player, besides not being left-handed, I see a lot of Anthony Mason in him as far as size-wise and what his role is.
Yeah, and I like the fact that Mace was. I like Mace on the Heat. I like Mace on the Hornets, and I like them on the Knicks.
Charlotte. I was about to say, if you forgot him in Charlotte, I was going to get you, man.
No. I love those Charlotte teams. Bobby Fields.
I live in Charlotte. I'm in Charlotte right now. So
Del Curry, Glenn Rice, Muggsy.
Del Curry.
I remember Bobby Fields on that team too.
Yeah, his son is just made somebody's roster.
Yeah, rest in peace to Bobby Fields.
Yeah, I remember when he got killed. He got killed on Top Hole Road in Charlotte, right down below the Charlotte Coliseum. Him and David Wesley were drag racing.
Yeah, I like David Wesley too.
Yep, former Celtic, former Hornet. He's a point guard, but could play off the ball and play two guard as well.
CCP, man, you need to have this discussion at least once a week, bro. I need to feed off of this.
Hey, man, like it's Nick's show, so I mean, if you and Nick set it up, hey, y'all do your thing.
I'll be glad to join the panel. We can do it on my channel. We can do it over here. Don't matter to me, man. I could talk sports. I could talk hip hop, all of that, all day long.
Oh, dude, were you here when we discussed like they had the album hip hop stuff like a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, maybe? I think you were listening when we were talking about Nas and all that.
Probably. I had a show maybe 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
We went through which we talked about the best hip hop albums of all time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, don't get me started. I was like, I wish I would have heard that.
Yeah, that was a good show, man. Well, when you subscribe, check out the stream. It was a little bit of everything. I think CCP, you was there too.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah,
we had a good time. We had a good time.
Hey, well, like
we went decade to decade, bro. We went from the late 70s all the way up to now. We went each decade.
Y'all went like for the last poets and shit. Like
we went from
Cool Herc.
We went from Curtis Blow all the way up to now, man. Every year. Fat Boys, Houdini, we went all the way through.
Boys.
Tribe,
De La.
Did y'all get Heavy D and the Boys in there?
Yeah, we had a little bit of everything, man. We went through the best albums of each year.
Yep. Man, we gotta do that one again.
The 90s, just like basketball, man. The 90s smoked everybody. I think for sneakers, for music, for sports, I think the 90s is untouched.
I mean, probably some nostalgia bias in there. I grew up in that was part of my childhood. I'm 33 years old, so is Nick. So a lot of our childhood, a lot of the prime of some of the most innocent and times of my life, and some of the most precious time of my life came in the 90s. So the 90s, I'll put it like this: in hindsight, it was a much simpler time.
Mm-hmm.
But even though we had access to less information and less technology, I think it was an easier time to navigate through at that time.
Yeah, I agree.
I think having a lot of information and having a lot of access and resources is great, but sometimes when too much is thrown on you at one time, then there also has to be a plan or a level of responsibility of how to balance having access to all this information. Because if you have too much access, too much information at one time and don't know how to balance it, it could be to your detriment just as much as it could be to your benefit if it's not managed properly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And see, at that time, we didn't have as much social responsibility because we didn't have access to as much information that gave us social access to everyone. So at that time, we didn't have to be more careful because we didn't have the resources where we could exploit ourselves.
Yep.
Yep, absolutely.
So, hey man, if you get me talking, I'll talk all night long. So I'm going to yield the floor to you fellas.
Oh yeah, I need to go eat dinner, man. I got the I gotta do some setup work for tomorrow. So
Oh yeah, I'll be in a chat, man. I'm definitely gonna be tuned in for you.
yes, sir. Come on through,
Hey,
man.
hey, you got the flow, man. Tell my where you find you at. I'm gonna put you on the big screen.
All right. In case y'all ain't know, Channel Chill Town. Just like CCP said, I go live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night. We talk about everything from hip hop to sneakers to fitness to whatever's on the radar, man. But this Friday for sure, Team South versus Team Midwest. Make sure y'all come through, man. And thank you, CCP, for having me. And thank you, Tom, for the good debate, man.
Hey, anytime, brother.
All right, man. I catch you.
All right, brother. Be cool. Y'all be cool. Be safe.
Yes, sir.
Right.
You too.
Later.
Later. All right, T, you got the flow. Hold up. I'll get you on here. Finna close it out. You got the flow. Solo. There you go.
All right, man. Just closing out. Want to say, hey, it's on the horizon, man. For those of y'all who are professional wrestling fans, I think there's a renaissance. And we see CM Punk's return. I think that's great for professional wrestling to see him back. Rumored that Daniel Bryan may be signing with the AEW as well.
I seen that too.
No matter if you're a WWE, AEW, whatever fan you are, anytime you have someone who's that over with the fans back and you're seeing this excitement being generated around wrestling, it's a good thing. On another note, again, each day that the Lord gives me, I'm happy to have it. Continuing to make the best of life, folks. Again, like I said, we're in challenging times, but it's not a challenge that we can't handle. I always say this: we're children of the Father, and we're made in the Father's image. And if we're made in His image, and we're His children, that means that we inherited some of His bloodline. That we inherited His bloodline, and if we inherited His bloodline, then we have the ability to get to whatever is brought before us.
I'm gonna close it out right here. Let me give my final thoughts. Man, I appreciate everybody for pulling up, man. Thank y'all for coming in. That was an awesome debate between Ty and Chill Town, man. And like I said, man, if y'all ain't sub up the channel Chill Town, y'all need to go check his channel out. Sub up to him anyway. Don't check it out. Go sub up to the man. Sub up the channel Chill Town. Bruh got some good topics, good debates. I mean, he's an all-around dude, so y'all go support him. That's my stamp of approval. Trying to tell you. And also, don't let people like this ruin your happy home. You're breaking up families. Don't break up families. Don't do it. See this happy family. But anyway.
The views of CCP do not necessarily support the views of Tyrell Hart.
But anyway, man, I appreciate y'all for pulling up for a good night, man. We've been up here 2.5 hours on this wonderful live stream, man. And like I said, man, I like the debate that y'all put on. Both of y'all got good valid points. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? That's a healthy debate. That's what our sports show is about. Is a healthy, good debate, whether you got a different opinion than somebody else.
And notice that neither one of us ever got upset with each other or got ugly with each other.
No, that's the point. You having a healthy debate. When you have healthy debates, man, you hear things if people ain't never heard before,
and you learn things.
Yeah. So that's why I said Chill Town. You always welcome on the panel. Anytime you want to come up, you want to come up Mondays, you want to come up Thursdays. You welcome to be up here, brother. You are part of the CCP family. So I appreciate you for pulling up. And there's a channel right there. If anybody in the chat wants to subscribe, take that link right there, and they'll direct you right to his channel. And y'all hit that subscribe button. Again, man, hit that like button over here and subscribe to this channel. I will be getting ready to put the information up for the giveaway. It's getting ready to get started. So I will start working on that tomorrow. We'll get the rules and everything litigated, and we'll have another giveaway coming soon. So I appreciate y'all for pulling up tonight. Salutes to the chat. Salutes to the panel. We up out of here. Love y'all guys. See you next week.
Peace.
Peace.